to do this, but can I get a side of ranch?
Hey, you know what this needs? A little ranch.
I actually specifically remember asking for a side of ranch. Yeah.
Can I get some ranch?
Oh, everything is wonderful. But can I get a side of ranch? I made that intro.
That was pretty great.
Thank you. I'm like such a nerd. I do a lot of weird, I made all these sound bites because I'm like, why wouldn't I, you know?
No, it's what haunts my dreams. So that's perfect. I'm glad I got to hear that when I'm awake.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Can I Get Some Ranch? I'm here today with CJ Price. So 2016, 5 years?
Yeah, going on 5th year right now.
You're lucky.
Sorry.
That's still newish. That's not too bad.
It's true. But before that, though, I was a server at an old folks home. So I did that for a while before I was like a caregiver for them.
So you were kitchen then caregiver?
Yeah, I moved up from there. Started as a dishwasher, then was the server. And those are just all of the worst customers you could imagine. And there's just 65 of them. And they all know your name.
Oh, man. How many of them hit on you?
Oh, so many of them. Some thought I was their husband. You just got to play along.
They're like, come here. And you're like, please, God, no. It's like, ugh, God. Listen, I'm all for you got to put your parent or whatever in a home, but they're so creepy. They're so creepy. I couldn't imagine working in one. I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could handle that kind of psychosis. Okay, so are you from California?
Yeah, I'm from Orange County.
Oh, wow.
Born in Anaheim.
So is my roommate, actually. She is from, I don't know, somewhere down there. So
they're all the same. Everything, it's all just white supremacists.
That's exactly what I think of the of OC. What kind of place do you work at now?
Currently, I work at a brewery.
Oh, okay. And have you been working during all of COVID?
For most of it, I mean, there's been some months where I was off when we weren't able to be open for dine-in.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been working pretty much straight through it.
Jesus. How's that been?
It's been fine. I mean, it's every customer is the worst customer, though, because especially. It's slowly getting better, but in the heart of the pandemic during the summer, the only people who were going out were people who were COVID deniers.
Right.
So
right.
Not wearing their masks around us, tipping 5% because they think tipping is theft, or 0% a lot of the time.
They think tipping is theft.
They do. They'll tell us that the company should pay you more. That should be the tip. And I'll be like, yeah, I completely agree. But right now, this is the way it is. I want to sleep inside. So if you could please give me at least something.
Oh, wow. That's funny. Yeah. I worked a grand total of maybe I feel like a week in the last 8 months. And every single day that I would work, it would be like that. Everybody that would be in there would be, it's like they are multiplied to be even worse than they were pre-COVID. You know, you always had shitty people come in, but then it's like they all were like, oh my God, this is our time. Let's all go to the restaurants. And the first table I got and they didn't give me a tip. I was like, are you kidding me? I wanted to wish something mean upon them. Maybe I wish they got COVID. I mean, because necessarily it's not a death sentence, right? So it's I don't know. But
all of them definitely did get COVID. All of those people had it at one point.
Yeah.
They're just the ones that didn't get sick from it. And that's why they kept fucking with us.
Asymptomatic, the fuckers.
Pieces of shit.
Pieces of shit.
Real horrible fucking people.
So, you obviously bartend / serve at your place?
So right now I have to be a server and it's just beer. We don't have any liquor.
Yeah.
So I pour the beers and I take the orders and then we have a food vendor that's set up outside.
Oh.
So
you don't even deal with food? Really?
I do right now. I have to take the orders and give tickets to the kitchen, but the kitchen runs the food.
Oh, wow.
That's just something during COVID. Before, all it was, you would come up to me at the bar, tell me what beer you want, I'd pour it and give it to you. It was the greatest service industry job in the world, and COVID ruined that.
Damn. Yeah, that sounds like my ideal job right there. You're just like, hey, perfect. Beer, here you go.
It was the best.
Sorry, go ahead.
I had never been I had been a bartender for a few months at this other place in downtown, which was like pretty corporate, and the owner was always there. And at this place, they were like, you can stand up for yourself at this place I currently work at. And I had never worked somewhere where if the customer's wrong, you can kind of like tell them they're wrong.
Yeah.
And if they're a dick, you can be a dick back. And I was running wild with it. I was having so much fun. But in a serving scenario where like you come to their table and take their order, you don't get away with as much anymore. And that's just the worst thing about this whole pandemic is that I can't be mean to customers. I mean, I still am.
Yeah.
But
in subtler ways. Well, you're a comedian, so it's a little bit easier. We can make like jokes where maybe the customer doesn't really get it, but you know you said it, so you kind of walk away and you're like, fucking motherfucker. But what was I was gonna say? So you literally I had something on my mind, and then I just got so enthralled in you yelling at customers. That's my ideal job too. If I could be mean to people, I would like literally, like Dick's Last Resort. That old. You ever go there?
I haven't been there. Is it in Chicago?
I think
there's one
of the only ones now. But I'm from like Ohio, so we would vacation to white trash places that would have that. So we would go, and it was the best. I was always like, "That's so awesome!" Like she literally just told somebody to shut the fuck up because they weren't ordering right, and it's like that is my dream.
That is
my dream.
It's everything I ever wished for.
I know, and I could see why your job was easier because people, I don't feel like they get as crazy about their drinks as they do about their food. Like you could bring them a cocktail and they're like, this tastes a little weird, but I'm going to drink it. Don't worry. And you're like, yeah, cool. And then it's like, my burger was just a little bit too medium and I wanted it medium well, so you're going to have to take, and it's like, okay, really? Like you couldn't just eat the fucking medium burger, you know?
Yeah. No, it's definitely way worse. And we're just beer. So if somebody wants to modify, they can't modify anything. It's just tell me your order, that's what you get.
Yeah.
And people will try to return them, and if they don't have a valid reason, I can turn them down.
What are some reasons that they've tried to return them?
So one guy came up one time, and this is a common question I get is, what beer do you have for women? And it's very frustrating, this question. I have a bit that I'm not going to do right now, don't worry. But he was like, what's like a beer for a woman? And I was like, well, women, like anything, man, that's not telling me anything. I was like a woman could drink a stout or whatever. And he was like, okay, let's do a stout. And I was like, now, are you sure that's like darker and heavier? He was like, yeah, just give it to me. So I go over there, I pour it, I hand it to him, and he goes, oh, no, she's not going to drink this. And I was like, man, I was trying to explain to you what it was before I brought it. And he was like, just get me something else. I was like, no, I'm not going to. I'll charge you for this, and I'll charge you for another beer too. He's like, you're not going to get me another one? I was like, no. And then I brought him the other one. He was like, man, this is messed up. Like, I'm sorry that I ordered the wrong beer. I was like, it's cool. You don't have to be sorry. You just got to take responsibility for your actions as a human being. And then he sulked and walked away. And then he got a little liquid courage later in the night and kind of tried to fight me. But
of course.
I feel like I earned that one. Yeah. I think I went a little over the top, but.
Oh, you get to say everything every server always wants to say to their guests.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you are the worst. Don't be a piece of shit. Like, I don't understand what the issue is. I'm trying to think if I've ever had it. I've had people return drinks before because they're like, my favorite is when people go, excuse me, I don't think this has any alcohol in it. And you're like, no. Well, I'm also the bartender. I made the drink for you, and it actually has like 3 shots in it. No, I don't think it does because I don't taste it. Well, that's the purpose of a mixed drink, is not to. That's my favorite one. It's like, are you fucking dumb?
It's like we're lying to them. Yeah. I don't. What would I gain out of that? Like, why would I want to make your drink bad? Like the thing that you don't want. You're trying to tip me later, hopefully, and maybe order another drink to get my sales up. Yeah. Why would I mess with you on the quality of the drink? That's one thing I'll never do. I'll never mess with the quality of something. I'll never spit in something. I'll never dip my hand in something or anything like that. Why? No one does that. No. I've never met a single person who
Me neither.
Who fucks with shit or leaves the alcohol out.
No. I've never had that ever happen. Same. I've never seen it happen. I don't get the frustration. Like, you don't taste it. Congratulations, and you have a good drink. Then fucking drink it, and then let me know how you feel after. Like, it's the word. And then you get them something where you're like, all right, well, I guess I'm just gonna make you like something else. And they're like, oh no, I don't want to be able to taste that. You're like, you're fucking bitch.
Yeah, no. There's some people. As soon as they walk in, you just read the vibe, and you know that It's just not going to work. Whenever they say, last time we were here, it's like, well, I've never seen you in my fucking life. You just know they're building up to complain about something that's way out of your control.
That's my favorite. Or like, oh, does so-and-so still work here? And it's like, oh, fuck. Do you ever have that person at your job who's like the worst and they have the worst regulars and they come in and you're like, great, Devin's regulars are here again and he's not. And they're like, excuse me, we want the 14 peaches for our lemonade. Like it's, I hate people.
No, that is definitely incredibly frustrating. What it is, the owners of the current place I work at, they have a lot of regulars that they send in. So we'll have our regulars that are kind of like communal regulars for every bartender there, because it's usually during normal times we had like 4 or 5 on at any given time.
Right.
So they get to know all of us.
Yeah.
And the owners, they'll send in people who are just expecting free stuff and they don't know tipping culture. So I'll hook them up.
Yeah.
They'll drink $60 to $70 worth of stuff and give me a $5 bill.
Oh my God, it's the worst.
Somebody tipped me in a gift card one time to a restaurant group that I've never heard of in my life. I won't say it, but like it wasn't like one of the big ones that owns like multiple chains. It was one where I was like, what the hell is this? It was a $10 gift card. And he was like, this is your tip.
$10 gift card.
To restaurants I've never heard of in my life. I was like reading which ones they were. I was like, I don't think any of these are in California.
It's like a small chain of restaurants in Maine that you have to just check out. Like, I guess I'll just leave that one in the wallet.
Yeah.
That's speaking of tips, we'll get into a segment. We'll switch it to a little bit brighter because I have a tip, but it's a good tip. So we're gonna go with the best tip segment, which is it's my favorite. The best tip I've received that wasn't money is people have tipped me in weed before, multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah, it was amazing. Like I just get into that conversation with someone and they'll be like, oh yeah, man, like weed or whatever, like I sell it. And I'm like, that's cool. Like I smoke a lot of that. And they're like, oh, and they're like, oh, hold on 1 second. And then they'll like leave and I'm like, okay. And they came back and they like closed the book. And I think that they tipped me like, as in cash, but then there was like an eighth of weed in the book, and I was like, clutch. It was.
That's a perfect tip. Yeah, we have a grow house right next to my current job, and a major like marijuana company is the owner of the grow house, and then they also have a retail store like a block away from it.
Nice.
They'll come in all the time, and the last time they're pretty rude, but they tip in weed and some cash. They gave me half an ounce last time.
Wow, nice.
It's just, they're like, this is for everybody. And I went up to my coworkers. I was like, does anybody want any of this? Like, we could split it. And they all were like, yeah, maybe. And then at the end of the night, I was counting the drawer and it was sitting in the tip jar still. And I went up to people again. I was like, hey, does anybody want this? They were like, no. And I got to pocket half an ounce of weed.
Damn.
Just to take home for myself, which was
amazing.
Oh, it was so great.
That's amazing. Especially when you know it came from like that grow house and it wasn't like some shady character who's like some shake bag. He's like, you can have this, like you're like, that's legit shit.
Oh, it was good flour. Yeah, it was. I was happy with it. And nice. My girlfriend's like a big stoner, so she approved of it. That's nice. How I know it's cool, because I don't know anything about this.
Did I do good? Did I do good for you? Yeah, okay, you did good.
Did I make you happy for once?
Is that the best tip that you've ever got, you think?
Non-cash? Yeah, that's probably. I mean, I used to get tipped. I used to work at LA Live in a restaurant there. And I used to get tipped in like tickets for different events.
Ooh.
So like Clippers tickets, those were often. Those were the worst ones.
That's when you knew the worst tippers were coming in. They're like, fucking Clippers tickets again.
Horrible. But like Kings fans, I'm not a Kings fan, but like their fans would tip really well. And sometimes they just be like, you're a hockey fan. They give me like an extra ticket.
What?
And they all had like really nice seats and stuff. So I'd be able to go to games. One time my friend who worked at the same spot got tipped with Elton John tickets. So we were able on his like last tour, and I was like, hell yeah.
That's fucking baller.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's cooler than weed, kind of, because it's like weed's great, but like free concert tickets, that's pretty dope.
Oh yeah.
What's the best cash tip that you can remember you got?
It was when I like first became, so I started as a host at this one major chain, then was a food runner, then was a server. And it was like my second week, and I had like this group of Latino men who I was helping out, and I got them so drunk at the end of the night, they kept giving me 20s and then 100, more 20s, to the point where it got up to like $210 tip on a $100 tab. And I was like, thank you so much. They're like, it's because you weren't racist to us. And I was like, okay, that's great. That's literally all it takes to get a $200 tip. And now ever since then, it's like, I'm not racist to anybody, but they're not tipping me $200 for not being racist. It set up a false expectation, that's for sure.
You're like, is this how it works? They're like, no.
I just don't have to be a bigot, and I get $200. This is amazing. This is white privilege right there. It's like when you defy their expectations of just being a racist white guy.
They're like, and then you go literally the next day, and you're like, oh no, that was just a fluke. Yeah. Okay, cool.
I just got stiffed.
Yeah.
400.
I was just gonna say, one of the worst tips I ever got. So the whole scenario was terrible. I worked at a huge chain and the restaurant itself was just a piece of shit. And it was like 11:30 at night. We closed at 12. And this party had called us earlier in the day, and they were like, hey, can you take a party of 35 walk-in? And we're like, no, absolutely not. And they kept calling, and we're like, no, we can't. Like, it was like a Saturday night, busy-ass night. And they ended up just walking in at 11:30 saying, oh, well, we're a party of 35. And chains, a lot of corporate chains will not deny anyone. So they're like, sure, fuck it. We'll keep our entire staff on just for you. And most people had been cut and like went home. So I was the only server that could take them. So I had to take 35 people on my own walk-in at 11:30, 30 minutes before we closed, which is so ignorant to do.
Oh, yeah.
And so there was like, I think maybe 5 checks they ended up like splitting up per family or whatever, or 6 maybe, and grand total, so their bill I think was upwards of grand total for all of them was like, I don't know, $1,300 maybe, and they in total left me I think less than $100. Oh. I was so pissed.
And then, since this is a big chain, you had to do tip share probably too, right?
Yeah. But then, luckily, I had a really dope manager on, who ended up just being like, "Did anybody pay cash?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he just comped all the cash stuff. So I think I ended up making like $200 on that party, which most people are like, "Well, that's $200," but $1,000. If your bill is upwards of $1,000, then I guess 200 is that 20%?
Well, if it was $1,300 and $200 tip, it's still under. It's probably somewhere like 15-16%.
Yeah.
But you had to steal money.
I still had to steal money. Yeah. You still had to steal money just for them, for me to make, like, I think after even tipping out, I made like $130 on that table or something like that. So it was not, it was not great, but it was like, but they were so rude, and it was just, I was like, okay, no, and now I know.
You mean to tell me party of 35 walk in right at last call was rude?
Yeah, I know. It's shocking.
Wow.
I think they were like, I think they were coming from a wedding or something, but
of course.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Or church. The worst tippers come from church. The worst
people in the world. I don't understand it. They
neither.
Spend a whole day being holy, and then they think that they can just treat you like shit because they did time with God earlier.
Well, I think that because they only have to tithe 10% to God, they think that they only have to tithe maybe 5% to their server later. I'm not sure how that works, but it doesn't change just because you pray. Like, you still have to tip appropriate.
It's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating.
I have religious family members, and they'll tip like shit. It's something about religion that just does it. Like, I'll have to go back into the restaurant after they leave. Like, or I'll be like, oh, I had to go to the bathroom, and I'll run back in and give the guy like a 20 on top of the tip or something like that.
Like, I'm so sorry, my family's cheap.
Please take this.
Don't hate me and don't tell everyone else. Like the calling of a server, and we're like, CJ's family tips like shit, and we're like, shun you.
I'm so sorry. I have to correct them. Like, my mom's, she was always like really rude to servers, and she's been way better about it because my sister's a bartender as well. Mm-hmm. So she's gotten better about it, but she still says things that are like crazy, like rude. Like for Easter, we went to this restaurant with my grandpa, my mom, my sister, and my grandpa, they got his order wrong. So we were like, no big deal. Yeah. The guy was like, we'll be right back with it. And my grandpa wanted to like freak out. And I had to like calm him down. And then 5 minutes passes, and they bring the actual order, like really quick to get the actual order. And my mom just goes, oh, finally. And we just have to go like, yo, we do this for a living. The person you were just rude to, that's our job. You were rude to us, essentially. Oh, I didn't think of it like that. It's like, yeah, we know. We know you didn't think of it like that.
Has she ever like came in to eat like at a place you worked or your sister?
Yeah, but she's always really nice.
Okay, I was going to say, does she treat you guys? She's still like, finally. And you're like, Mom,
it's me. I'll never serve her table though. Like when she would come into a place I used to work.
Really?
I'd give another server to her. Yeah.
You're like, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not taking because she's such a picky eater too that I was like, I'm not getting stuck with all these modifications.
I don't want the kitchen to hate me. Well, they're already gonna hate you because somebody's gonna be like, it's fucking CJ's mom, dude.
Oh yeah, they're gonna hate me too because I'm not a girl flirting with them. So
well, that's true.
Yeah, that's usually the way it goes. Yeah.
It is it doesn't matter what you look like at a restaurant. If you have tits and a vagina, the back of the house is just obsessed with you.
Oh, you're gonna be eating French fries for the rest of your time there.
Literally,
no problem.
I could eat for like that's the beauty of working at a restaurant is you really don't have to pay for food. If you're a girl, like you could just go to the kitchen and be like, can you just something, just whatever you got back there, and they're like, okay, and you get like a fucking 5-course dinner, and you're like, thank you, that was perfect.
Thanks, that was so nice. Oh my god. Yeah, it doesn't work like that for men. It's like, hey, could you make me fuck off? All right, okay, got it. I'll go punch it in, and then you ring it in, and they'll prioritize that to the back.
Yeah.
Like, all right, great, cool.
My break is over in 5 minutes, so this is cool.
Perfect, cool.
This is another great segment I like to call Heating Up, and that's when we talk about the back of the house. It's heating up. What do you think of the sound bites so far?
I love them.
Thank you.
I think they've all been great.
We haven't even gotten to my favorites yet, so just like, just be ready for those,
Anticipation's killing me right now.
Yeah, no, I love the back. It's where I work now. Luckily, most of the people in the back of the house are great. But places I've worked before, there have been, we would have people like fighting back there, like doing cocaine, drinking. What else would they do? Half the this one kid, I think, cut himself once, and instead of like getting off the line and going to patch it up, he just like kept working, and there was like blood all over his fucking station, and we were like, we can't put this food out, bro. Like there's blood on the plate. And he's like, fine. And then like finally they took him out, and I was like, okay. But the back of the house it's
a wild place.
It's a wild place.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I do not envy them. I worked in the back of a house, but I worked at like a nice restaurant, and it was very small, so it was easy, and I was like a pastry chef or some shit. But it's brutal for them back there sometimes.
I could never do it.
No.
I see the way they're running. And in this Coke, that's what fuels the whole thing. And I've never done Coke, so it's
neither.
like I couldn't imagine
What they're like.
Oh, they're frantic at all times. And
I know.
I couldn't do that. Like that, it scares the shit out of me just thinking about it. I worked at a poke place for a little bit, and there was one day, and I was a cashier, and there was one day where they wanted to try me on the line, and that's not even cooking. That's just putting raw stuff in bowls. And I was like, I can't do this. This isn't something I can handle.
I had that similar situation happen at a Quiznos. God, do you guys have Quiznos out here?
I think there's some still, but there used to be a lot more, but they all kind of disappeared.
That makes sense. I got a job there for like 2 weeks, and I like trained as slow as I could, and then by the time they're like, all right, you ready to like put it all together? And I was like, yeah, and then just like never came in for my next shift because I was like, no, fuck this. I'm not gonna build shit for people. They can go home and make a sandwich.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was crazy.
At a place like Quiznos or Subway, anytime I reluctantly go there, it's usually late at night if it's open. Walk in, the rest of the customers in there look like the worst customers in the world. They're always so particular. It's like, yo, you're at a fucking Quiznos. You're at a Subway.
I know.
They treat it like it's like this fine sandwich place. Where,
Are you going to add some more? Are you going to add some more to that?
That's all the meat I get? Yeah, that's the portion size, man. We're corporate. You've seen commercials for us during the Super Bowl, dude. What do you think we're our mom and pop where we can hook you up? We don't
there you go. Yeah. I'm going to get fired, just so you know.
There you go. We don't rely on repeat business, so we don't give a shit if you come back.
I once almost got in a fight with a homeless guy in Subway, just recently, actually, during the pandemic. Yeah, I walked in and he was like sitting at one of the tables inside, what you were not allowed to do, but he was. And he was like eating a bag of chips and a Gatorade that were clearly from that Subway. And I like go through the line and I'm paying. As I'm finishing up paying, the lady behind the counter's like, did he pay for that stuff? And she's like, I don't know. And she's like, I don't think so. And she's like, sir, you have to pay for that. And he was like, he just started going off and like saying all this racist stuff because the women were Hispanic and he was, of course, a white male, old, like in his 70s, probably like homeless, probably mentally ill. And he was just like, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. I was like, she said you had to pay for it. And he shoots his head over at me and he just gets up and he goes, what did you say? I go, she said you had, and he's shorter than me. So I'm looking down at him and I'm not that tall. So I was like, I sized him up before I said anything. So I was like, let me see. Okay. And then, he's like, you stay out of this. It's none of your business. And he like stormed out the door and like was waiting for me. And I was like, okay. And then I walked outside and he's like, why'd you say anything? I go, cause you're stealing. It was so weird. And I was just like, okay. And he like walked off and I was like, well, you still have to pay for it. And he just like,
You're still trying.
But that's Subway. That's not really a restaurant, but it was,
No, that's a fantasy of mine is when I see like I don't know why I've never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually I'm like, the employees probably don't want me to stand up for them. Like that's my feeling. Like they got this. They can fuck this dude up.
Yeah.
But every time I see like a customer being rude to a cashier, or if I'll be sitting at a table next to me is being rude to the server, I just want to fight them. Like I want to destroy their day.
You want to ruin them.
Yeah,
I get it.
I want to go clock in and serve that table the way I like to serve tables, just to show them what a bad server really can be. People don't understand.
I'm that type of person that'll sit at the table next to them and just talk louder and be like, wow, people really don't know how to go out to eat anymore, huh? And they'll like just look at them in hopes that they get it. And they're just usually very oblivious. And they're like, yeah, I know, me too.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. As they ask the busboy for
8 other sides of ranch.
Yeah, to take their order. As he's not understanding the question at all. And instead of realizing that maybe he doesn't speak English, they raise their voice louder. I said. Really?
And the busboy, I love it because that's happened to so many of the busboys I work with now even. And it's funny because they know English, but they're like, fuck you, bitch. I don't take your order. So they'll play it off and then they'll come up to me and they're like, hey, so this table tried to order with me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, good. And I'm just like, I'll go up to tables and they'll be like, oh yeah, we were trying to order with somebody. And I go, yeah, well that would be the busser. He doesn't take your order. I take your order.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, oh, okay. It's like you have to like whip people into shape sometimes.
Remember when I introduced myself and said, I'll be taking care of you tonight? You don't remember that?
No.
Jesus.
It's hard enough for them to remember what dish they ordered, 20 minutes after they ordered it.
It's the most frustrating. That and not reading the menu. Just, what do you have? And when I worked at this chain, a huge corporate chain, the menu is massive. It's not the one you're thinking of, the stereotypical massive menu, but it's still, oh my God. And people would be like, what do you have here? And I'd just be like, literally everything, man. Like, just take a look. And then they'll be like, all right, I'll look it over. And I'll come back and they'd be like, fettuccine Alfredo. I'd be like, where did you see that? Where the fuck did you read that?
I wonder if we worked at the same place. Not the same restaurant, but the same chain. The restaurant I worked at literally had a 23-page menu.
So stupid.
And every menu, if you've ever gone out to a restaurant, if you've ever gone out to a restaurant, you should understand how a menu flows anyway, right? Like, drinks. And if you can't find the drinks right in the front, where else would they be? On the back, probably, right?
Not going to be in the middle, in between appetizers and entrees. Yeah.
And people would walk into the restaurant and just sit down and you do the whole fucking greet thing. Because anytime you work at a corporate place, you have to do a whole, calling recital, fucking I can't talk. Anyway, I can't think of what I'm trying to say. The fucking
the spiel.
They would come in and you greet them and you do your whole spiel and then they would instantly go. You're like, oh, do you want me to give you a few minutes to look over? No, we're ready.
Yeah, stare at the menu. Just
what do you have?
Yeah. Why don't you tell me? You're looking at the menu.
Yeah, like I'm like, what do you think that thing is in there? Like, why do we put that in front of you?
Yeah.
For fun?
They think they're specials.
I know.
Which, when working at a chain, is my favorite. Always my favorite question. Any specials today? It's like, yo, what?
Happy hour, 3 to 7 at the bar only. Get out of my face.
That's the special. We got a $6 plate of nachos. That's the special. Ooh, how was that served? On a plate. Get the fuck out of my face. Jeez.
Well, the restaurant I was working at started, they started fucking doing specials Monday through. Actually, they did them every day. Like as I was getting ready to leave that place, they're like, we're gonna start doing specials every day, and they're all different, and there's all different sizes and stuff you could get with them. So you guys just have to remember all that, plus the 270 other items that are on our menu. And I'm like, cool, great.
No one, in my experience in a chain restaurant, I mean, when I was a food runner, I knew the menu because I had to make sure everything looked right.
Right.
But as soon as I became a server, all that information just left my head. People would be like, what's in the Caesar salad? And I'd be like, dude, I think you could just assume what's going to be in the salad. Man, like, do we really have to run through this right now? I'm not going to give you, I just forget everything.
I know. Well, luckily, the place I would do the same. Like, I remembered a lot of stuff, but it's like people would be like, how is this prepared? And it's like, really, bitch? Really? She's like, is it butter? Is it oil? What does it have? Now I have to go ask that kitchen guy that fucking is going to hate me for asking this question during the rush because he's focused on the 27 tickets he's got on his fucking screen. And I have to stop him and go, hey, how is this prepared for you?
Oh, my God.
The worst.
At a chain, too.
At a chain.
I was at an Italian chain, not the most famous one, but eating there one time because me and my friends were like, this would be hilarious if we eat at this crappy place. It's a place where you order a pasta, they give you another pasta to take home. And they're huge chain. There's tons of them all throughout Southern California. There was one guy who asked to meet the chef at another table. So it wasn't my friend just fucking around and being a drunk idiot. It was a guy on a date. Actually, and he was like tasting wines and asked to meet the chef. The chef came out. He was just they just grabbed some line cook. There's no way it was the executive chef of this chain. They just grabbed some guy named Guillermo.
Hey, who's got the cleanest shirt? Everybody look up.
Just get a prep cook, whatever. It's hilarious. And he was definitely trying to impress the woman he was with. And she looked into it. And I remember being like, I don't know who's dumber here. The guy who's asking to meet the chef at this chain Italian restaurant, or the girl who's like, wow, he's so sophisticated. He knows how to order. He knows how to go to a restaurant. No, he's a freaking moron.
Maybe she was like a Russian order bride and it was her first time in America. And she was just like, oh, this is nice.
They give you a free pasta to take home with their other pasta. This is amazing.
This is what America is. This is what America is. Oh, my God. He asked to meet the chef. I wish I was a fly on the wall at that table just watching that happen.
We were just laughing at him. And at one point, he kind of like looked at us and we just stared at him. We were just like, you idiot.
You're like, you want to ask for the fucking bus or two, asshole?
See, go get the dishwasher. You like your plate? Was it clean enough for you? Jeez. I'm surprised he didn't ask to see a sommelier for the wine. That would have been...
Do you think that they would have one even like on call?
Of course not.
They just grab the manager.
Oh, that would be, a line cook again. Just another one. Be like, who could play this off?
No.
If he's asking to speak to the chef at a chain restaurant. There's no way that guy knows anything. I'm surprised. No. How did you even get here, man? I'm surprised. Did you drive? There's no way you drove, and you can't figure out a bus schedule. How did you get here? You think Ubers operate by waving them down, I bet. Do you live here? You live at this restaurant.
He probably does. That was going to be my call. He lives like upstairs. You know, he's like, this is where I take all the ladies. And they're like, this is the only place you ever go.
Yeah, you're not allowed to leave. You're under house arrest. You have to eat here every day.
That's why he always takes a pasta.
Yep.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I guess.
That's right. Shitty manicotti.
It's funny. The reason I thought that we worked at the same place is because you said fettuccine Alfredo. Did they have that at the place that you worked at, the chain?
No.
Okay.
No. People would assume we did. We were owned by...
Because we did.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Oh, that must have been bad.
You knew? There's certain things on the menu. I'm not sure it's the same thing for you. Is the second somebody orders it, you're like, And this will be a shit table with no tips, so I'm not going to put much energy. Like, I still serve people the same, but I'm just not going to run and check on, like, I won't have fun and laugh with you because it's like, you're not going to tip me.
Oh, no, you already know.
And it's at the old place that I worked at, it would be when they would order a strawberry lemonade and a fettuccine Alfredo. And I'm like, first of all, this fettuccine Alfredo is $17 and it's garbage. Yeah. You could literally go to the store for like $20 and buy enough fettuccine Alfredo stuff to make for like you and your entire 500 people family. Like, why would you spend that on here? Yeah. It's so dumb.
I don't understand. Or go to an actual Italian restaurant and don't get fettuccine Alfredo because that's not a real Italian dish.
Yeah.
Don't order this.
I just like, I love that they're like, the menu is so vast and there were like some things that were not that bad, and they're just like, look, and they're on a date too. And could you just imagine the aftermath of that date? Because I know that dish will fuck up anybody's stomach.
Oh yeah, it's garlic butter cream. Right?
Yeah, it's coming from like a bag. You know, like it's not fresh. And I know because I would eat there, and an hour after I eat there, I'm like, BGs are gonna roll in right now. And imagine after a date, you're just like, hey, so that was really. Excuse me, that was really fun. And then you just like have to shit. It's like, why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah, and there's no way you're gonna have sex if you have a belly full of fettuccine Alfredo. You're not gonna be in the mood to go at it. And if you are, then you deserve that fettuccine Alfredo. You're a garbage person. We had at this chain. Most of my stories are gonna be about this place because it was wild.
Yeah, I get it.
Lobster mac and cheese. That people would order, and they would be expecting fresh lobster, and it would just be frozen lobster claw meat just thrown in that smelled like a pier. Like it just smelled a cheese. Like if somebody dropped like a pot of hot cheese on a pier, like that's what this dish smelled like. And they'd always be disappointed. And I would like, when they'd order it, they'd be like, "Could I have the lobster mac and cheese?" I'd be like, "You said lobster mac and cheese? You said that's what you want to get?" Yeah. I had a server one time, favorite server that I've ever had. It's I'm not going to say anything bad, so maybe I could say the name of the chain.
Sure. Yeah.
It's Norms.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I go there because it's so cheap, and I get the steak.
They have the best breakfast burritos.
Oh, their breakfast is great. Yeah. I like the steak because it comes with chicken tenders, shrimp, a soup, a salad, a baked potato, and dessert for $12.
What the fuck?
The stupidest thing in the world. And one time I went there and I was drunk, and the lady was like, "How would you like your steak cooked?" And I was like, "Medium rare." And she was like, "Mm-mm." I was like, "What?" She was like, "No, you don't." I was like, "How do you think?" And she was like, "Medium well, like that's the bar." And I was like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, you don't want to eat this medium rare." I was like, "All right, medium well." She was like, good call. And I appreciated the honesty so much because that's the way I am as a server. Like, at my work right now, we have a certain beer that just came out, and people are like excited to try like the new beer, and I tasted it, and it's awful.
What can you describe it without having to like give away the?
So it's a Belgian pale ale, and it just doesn't taste anything like
Belgian pale. So is it weedy and like
clovey and hoppy at the same time? So two
I
flavors.
Hate that.
They just don't work together.
Yeah, they don't.
And people will order it, and I'll straight up tell them like, don't get that. And then they'll get it on their own anyways. And I'll see it sit there full for a while, and they'll be like, "Can I get something else?" And that's when I go, "No.
Yeah.
I warned you about this." Like, if it's like our fault for it tasting bad, like we have one beer that sometimes we'll pour really weird and pulpy because it's a fruit sour.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes it will come out looking really bad, and I will drop it at the table and be like, "Hey, I know it looks weird. It tastes fine. The consistency and the texture is going to be a little bit different. If you don't like it, we'll get you something else."
Yeah.
But if I warn you beforehand, "Hey, you're not going to like this. Nobody likes this," and you go, "I'm still going to get it." Yeah. You try to return it. I'm just not doing it.
Do you guys not give out samples?
We used to, but not right now because of COVID.
Got it. I was going to say, why wouldn't they just try it and then...
We used to have that option. There will be people, though, who won't take advantage of the sample when we were open, like the guy with the stout or like that I talked about earlier. And there was another guy one time who was like, "What's the beer you recommend?" Just like this young kid. And I was like, "What do you like?" He was like, "Everything." I was like, "You like dark beers?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "We have a porter." He was like, "I'll take that." So I gave it to him. He took a sip and he was like, "Oh no." well, first I offered a sample. He said no sample, and then gave it to him. He's like, oh no, this isn't cool. And I was like, what's wrong with it? He's like, it's too portery. I was like, what does that even mean, man?
What
like,
does that even mean?
What does that even mean? And I was brand new to this place, and like I still want to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, it's too portery. Just get me something else. I was like, okay, what do you want? He's like, just recommend me something. I was like, no, we just did that. And as you can see, it didn't work out too well. He's like, man, just go get me something. And I was like, just tell me what you want, man. And I'll get you something else. Like, I'll switch it out for you. No problem. He's like, fuck you. And just walked away. And I was like, what the hell? And it was like I was brand new at this place. And my coworker heard it. And he was like, you want me to get him thrown out? I was like, nah, I think he's just having a bad day. And then later on, I'm collecting glassware at tables around the brewery. And he just goes, there's that fucking pussy ass bitch right there. And I'm just like, what? I looked at him, I was like, what happened, man? Like, what did I really do to you? He's like, I just wanted a beer. And I was like, I was trying to get you. I got you one. And then I tried to get you another. And you're so upset with me because I didn't want to guess what you wanted. People will do that all the time. They'll be like, oh, what do you recommend? And I'll be like, what do you like? They'll be like, just recommend something. I'll be like, no.
Yeah.
We have one guy who comes in all the time, does that. And it got to the point where I told him, I was like, stop doing this, man. And then he came in like 2 days later. He sits down. I go to greet him, and he's like, oh, it's you. I was like, yeah. He's like, I hate to do this to you. I was like, then don't.
Yeah.
Then just don't. If
don't.
If you know it bugs me, then don't. Look at the menu.
Right.
He'll be like,
it's there for a reason.
Oh, just recommend something. I was like, you feel like an IPA? Yeah, I'll take an IPA. I was like, okay, how about this one? He'd be like, I had that one last time I was here. I was like, okay, do you feel like a Belgian? And he'd be like, yeah. I was like, how about this one? Oh, I had that one a couple weeks ago when I was here. I was like, dude, what are we doing? What is happening right now?
You should just keep a menu under the bar and just cross off what he's had and be like, no worries, man, I got you. Next one coming up.
That would come in handy so much because when I first started there's so many weird people that come into this place. One guy walked in, never saw him before. He was like, hey, man, last time I was here, I had a beer. I liked it. Can you get me that one? And I was like, well, hey, how you doing, man? First of all, I was like, I don't know what beer it was. And he was like, it was one of those, just grab it for me, man. You remember. I was like, I've never seen you in my life. And even if I had seen you, I'm not going to remember what beer you had last time you were in.
I know.
And then I grabbed one of the coworkers who was like the manager at the time. And I was like, hey, this guy wants something. He's like, he said that somebody helped him out here. And he was like, oh, yeah, I know this guy. And then they got to talking. And it turned out the beer he was talking about was an IPA that we had like 6 months prior. So he just assumed we still had the seasonal IPA from half a year ago. Frustrating.
At least you only have alcohol, because I have people that have came into the restaurants and asked, whoa, what do you like on the menu? And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Or what do you recommend? And if there's a menu with anything more than 5 things on it, don't ask me what I recommend. I go, well, what are you feeling? You want fish? You want steak? You want chicken? And they're like, I don't know, whatever. And I go, okay, you want to do this? Let's go through the whole menu. And I'll just fucking the whole menu. I'll be like, this.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, fuck, we would have been ready. But it's insane. Like, if I was to walk into your bar and say, what do you recommend? And you were like, well, what do you like? And I go, I like IPAs. That would help you go,
absolutely.
Cool, I can recommend you an IPA.
Yeah.
But people they just think that we're mind readers.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, I love it too when they'll be like when you were saying they come in and they're like, I got this last time. Listen, you are out of my mind the second you walk away.
Oh, yeah.
The second you walk away. And I've had people, they'll be like, oh, remember that thing I got last? And I'll be like, fucking no, I don't. I don't remember.
I don't know you. Yeah. I don't remember your face even.
That happens to me just daily all the time. People be like, Heather, like I work these shows on Fridays. And first of all, we're all in masks. And the people walk up and they're like, hey, Heather, how's it going? And I'm like, I don't know who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And
sorry.
even if you pull down your mask, I still don't know. Like, I don't remember who you are. I don't remember meeting you. It's so awkward. Awkward.
There's just so many. And people need to be accepting, because I've had that happen where I'm like, oh, what's up, man? And they'll be like, hey. And I'll be like, oh, never mind, man. We met here. And they'd be like, oh, okay. And I'd be like, I'm just going to leave now because this was a waste of time for both of us situation. Now, the whole what did I have last time thing is it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
To me that somebody would think I would remember. And the what do you recommend on a food menu is hilarious because they never go with we have a small food menu because we just have a little independent food vendor right now, and people will ask that, and I'll be like, this is my favorite. Some guy was like, what's your favorite? I was like, pork belly tacos. He was like, I was thinking about getting the hot dog. I was like, the hot dog's my favorite. He was like, oh. He was like, oh, I saw what you just did there. And I was like, oh, yeah, cool. I'm glad you picked up on it. And another guy was like, what do you recommend? I was like, and we only have quesadillas, hot dogs, and tacos. That's all we have. I was like, do you feel like a hot dog, a quesadilla, or a taco? He's like, taco. I was like, okay. Do you feel like pork belly, brisket, or chicken? He's like, chicken. I was like, I recommend the chicken tacos. He was like, okay, I'll get those. It's like like you said, read out the menu to them. That's all I did was just tell him what we had. I didn't recommend anything. I just told him what we have. Do you feel like this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that sounds great.
People, like, I don't know. Listen, I like to go in and say, what's, like I went to a crab cakes vendor truck, and I was like, I want, like, your specialty of this truck. And she's like, okay, it's the Maryland crab cake. And I was like, cool. But, like, people need to feel, like, a sense of, like, I don't, it couldn't be control because it's like they're not controlling what they're ordering, but they're just like, what? I need you to tell me what I want to get here.
Yeah, it's you really don't know.
Yeah,
like, what you said of like, what's the famous thing? Like, what are you known for? And they go, it's this. Let me get that.
Yeah,
that's what you're known for.
Cool.
The people, what do you recommend? And it's like, I don't recommend anything to you, man. I recommend you leave like right now.
Yeah,
yeah.
Unless you're going to like a specific restaurant, like a steakhouse or like an Italian. If you're going to like an all-around American cuisine restaurant, you know what you're going there for. Mm-hmm. You know what you have something in mind, and you're like, I want to get this. So why the fuck are you going to come in here and bullshit around and say, well, what, and then not get what we recommend, which is the funniest thing.
It's the same people that go to a comedy show not looking at who the comics are, and then they go, I didn't like the comic. It's like, why would you come here? Like, and I'm not just talking about like shows we'll do where it's like a bunch of, like unknowns, like what we are right now in comedy. Right. Like, we're not like big names, but like people will straight up go to like Mark Norman, or people will go to Bill Burr, and then they'll be like, he is so offensive. And it's like, did you not look into what he does?
Yeah.
Like, there's probably people who did that with Carlin in the 70s too. It's like when there was like 6 famous comics, like you had to know all of them. And they'd be like, I've never heard this guy's an asshole. It's like, you didn't know about one of the only successful comics at the time. It's the same way with people coming in to a brewery, not looking into it, like thinking that we have liquor and wine.
Yes.
And it's just, and people will confidently order liquor, and it's my favorite thing in the world. Like, some guy one time did Jack and Coke and slapped his hand down on the counter like that, confident. That's what I'm having. And I just looked at it, I was like, nope, not gonna have. Another person, it was like 11:30 in the morning, and I was like, what can I get for you? And they see everybody else ordered beer. It says brewery right there on the wall, and they're like, Hennessy on the rocks. And I'm like, 11:30. Also, no, we don't have that. We don't have, especially right now.
Yeah.
I would not get you started with a Hennessy on the rocks.
That's my favorite. Obviously that happens at so many restaurants where people come in and be like, yeah, I want to get the what have I had? I've had people. There was a specific Brussels sprout appetizer at my old job, and the job that I'm at now is literally across the street. So you get the same people, and they'll come over and they'll be like, yeah, I want to get that Brussels sprout appetizer, and I'll be like, no, that's not here. We don't have that. And they're like, no, you guys had it. I got it last time. And I was like, no, you didn't, because you got it next door over at BJ's. And they're like, no, I think I had it here. And I was like, you absolutely did not. You had it over there. Did it have sriracha sauce on it too? And they're like, yeah. See, I had it here. And I go, no, you had it over there. I used to work over there. You had it over there. And they're like, oh, I've had people get up and go, oh, fuck, we're supposed to go over there.
Yeah. Or they'll be like, well, could you guys do it?
Yeah.
Like, could you guys make Brussels sprout? It's like, what? No. Like, right now, we don't have fries where I work. Because they don't have a fryer, so they don't make fries.
Yeah.
And people will be like, I'll have the fries without looking at the menu and be like, we don't have it. They're like, you can't. I'd be like, can't what? You can't like make some? No, we can't just pull fries out of our ass. We don't have them anywhere here.
I'm surprised people aren't just bringing in their own ingredients at this point and be like, can you just whip this up into something?
I think that happened one time. I worked at another brewery in Mid-City that went out of business, and thank God. This was the worst job I ever had. And somebody one time like brought in their own beer is what they did. They were like upset that we didn't have the beer that they like. It was like, man, some Belgian that we didn't have that we advertised and we sold out of, and then they came in the next time with it, ready to just pour it for themselves. They're like, since you were out of it last time, it's like, why did you come here though?
Yeah.
Like, why not just drink this at home? I don't understand.
Like, what was the point?
You came to a brewery to drink your own beer that you brought. That doesn't.
You're like, see, guys, I can go buy it. And it's like, cool, go buy it.
Good
then.
for you. Congratulations. That happened twice there. One time, these people came in for this beer called Saint Bernardus Wit, which is like I believe it's German. I'm not entirely sure though, but it's like a popular Belgian style beer, or so I guess it would be from Belgium, not Germany. There we go. I just figured it out. And we were sold out of it, so they were like so upset that the manager was like, Christian, you know about beer. I was like, yeah. And he was like, go to Bevmo 2 blocks from here and go pick up like a different style of Belgian. And I had to just run down to Bevmo and get it just so they would please these stupid customers that were, the lady was, her husband was like, whatever, we'll get something else. But the lady was literally pouting in her seat, like, I'm not ordering anything else from here until you guys said you had it. It's like, yeah, with like kegs kick, we can run out of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, this was like our second week because I helped open this restaurant as a server, and this was like the second week open. So they were like, "We need the business, we need customers."
Yeah,
because we were right next to a place called Republique, which is like a really popular restaurant.
I feel like I've heard of it. Yeah,
it's like a restaurant group that owns it. It's actually a husband and wife.
okay.
The wife from the Philippines is like a renowned chef. She also Sari in the Grand Central Market, and so we were right next door.
Oh, nice.
So we were trying to compete with one of the most famous restaurants in LA. So they were like, anything we can do, keep people here, keep them in. They were like, give out stuff, like give away stuff for free. And the GM was like, I want you guys to comp so much stuff that when next time I come back here, I have to tell you you're comping too much. And I was like, all right. So I comped $400 that night. And that night, the GM was like, hey, man, you comped too much stuff. I was like, hey, I did what you wanted. And then they were not happy with me. They were
you
pretty
can't
livid.
give that kind of like power to a server and then like not give them the limit, because first of all, that is like the number one way to help us out. Like that gets us the biggest tip. And for you to go give stuff, oh my God, I would have probably in one night, I've probably given out like $200 worth of stuff.
Hey, if they give you the freedom, do it. Just help your tips.
Yeah,
like,
they did.
I was giving out steaks. Like I was just like,
you were giving out food. See, we couldn't give out food, but we can give out drinks.
Really? They weren't checking. Like I was just like, hey, could you swipe this? And they just swipe it real quick. And then like,
yeah, I've done that too. When I worked at the place I worked at before this, the managers trusted me so much they would just give me their card. And I would just have their card all day. Oh, wow. And some days where I didn't make shit, I'd just go to the cash tables and be like, swipe, comp. And they'd be like, cool, good job.
Nice.
Yeah. I was like, because that place sucked.
Oh, yeah.
Sucked so bad.
This place I'm talking about was the worst. I found out the comp code, which was one number. And I was like, I should probably stop. I should probably not finish that sentence. I mean, they fired me for other stuff, so I don't want them to have that against me too.
They fired me for other heinous crimes, but it's fine. It's cool.
Definitely deserved it. I would post on my social media on Instagram me at other breweries and tag the job I had and like tell them like how this brewery was better than the one I worked at. And then after I would get off, I'd take a picture of myself and just be like, just had another shitty night at such and such place. And then I had told the GM to go fuck himself like before this, but I was like a strong server. So they like held on to me for a while.
Right.
And then I came in one day and they're like, Christian, can we talk to you? I was like, yeah, sure. So I go into the office and they have like a manila folder and they open it up and they took all the pictures I had posted and printed them out. And they went over them with me as I'm laughing hysterically. And they're like, this is funny. I was like, this is hilarious. This is great. And then I had been trying to get fired from this place. That's why I was doing it. Because my girlfriend, in 2018, I went through 10 jobs.
Oh my God.
I got fired from a bunch. I just quit on the spot at some.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I was having a rough year. And this was like one of the final one. This was actually the second to last one before I landed at the spot I'm at now.
Uh-huh.
And my girlfriend was like, if you quit another job, I don't think we can stay together. And like we've been together forever and I love her. And I was like, so I can't quit. All right, got it. So I was just I was getting drunk at work. Like I would go on my break to this bar down the street, drink. Like the managers would like see me like stumbling out of it to like return back to work. I'd be going up to the bar and be like, pour me a shot of stuff. And the bartenders would be like, and they hated their job too. So they're like, all right. And we just drink together. And it wasn't a wet bar. It was a dry bar. We weren't supposed to be drinking. And just destroyed this place. Like would wait until like the bussers and like the kitchen staff would be gone, and it would just be like me and a few other servers like counting our money and like doing our side work at the end of the night where I know it's just the manager in there, and then I'd get so hammered that I'd like throw up in the urinal, and then I'd be like, all right guys, let's go, and just leave the managers with that to clean up, and like basically just like left my mark everywhere, like to the point where it's like it's obvious that I'm doing this stuff, and they just wouldn't fire me. Like the day I was serving the patio and I was the opener, and the other opener decided she just didn't feel like showing up. Yeah. And then she waltzed in an hour later, and she was like, I'm ready. And the rest of the people were there too. And I had 13 tables.
Damn.
Yeah, like a big section. That was like a normal section there.
Oh, wow.
It was anywhere from 13 to 20-something tables at any given time. And they would expect you to handle that.
Yep.
It's just like, that's impossible. That's on the verge of being impossible.
Yeah.
And he was like, we're going to do pre-shift. Christian, you can handle all this. I was like, this is a lot, man. I need somebody else. He's like, can you not handle it? I was like, dude, go fuck yourself, man. Like thinking like that was it. Like I was ready to get fired right then and there. I was like, this is worth it. And he was like, wow, you should not talk to me like that. I was like, dude, I hate it here, bro. I don't care. He's like, you should find other employment. I was like, I'm actively looking for other employment. What do you think all of us are doing here? And then I had to come in the next day, and he like sat me down. He was like, that was really disrespectful. I was like, yeah. What do you want to do about it? Like, do you want to fire me? He was like, no, we don't want to let you go. And I was like, oh, come on, man. I can't quit this place.
Right? That's the worst.
That was great.
That's the worst.
Started a war with them on social media after they fired me.
That's the one way you're like.
Hashtag and everything. I was really trying to get it trending. Hashtag fuck the name of the restaurant.
Yeah.
I had my friends posting it too.
Wow.
My girlfriend, my sister.
Where
myself.
was this restaurant? Was it downtown as well?
Mid-City.
Oh, Mid-City.
They only lasted like a year and a half.
I doubt I even would know what the restaurant is because I don't even.
It was awful. It
really?
was really bad.
I don't really go to Mid-City, so I don't really know anything down there.
The concept was going to be really cool. It was going to be a brewery and like a Korean fusion restaurant. And the chef they brought in from South Korea had worked with David Chang.
Oh, wow.
And she was an amazing chef, and she had a great idea for the menu. But the management like gave up on it super quick because a lot of the customers were thinking it was a brewery, and they're like, where's the burgers? Where's the tater tots? Where's the onion rings? Where's the nachos? And they were like, we should get burgers, nachos. And like, she was like, no, I didn't take this job to make burgers. She's like, I took this job to make the stuff that I want to make.
Right.
Like, if you want to make burgers, you can find something else. And they're like, okay. So they hired another executive chef who was a line cook at Chuck E. Cheese and for Cinemark movie theaters. So he made movie theater and Chuck E. Cheese food. He lasted about 2 days.
Oh, wow.
He got so stressed out at the job that he was smoking in the kitchen. And I remember I like walked in, and he was chopping tomatoes, and he was cutting with the end of the knife, like the pointy end of the knife. He was going into it like that and just moving it towards himself. And I was like, this guy has no knife skills, and he's the executive chef of an expensive brew pub in Mid-City Los Angeles. He's gone in 2 days. They ran him out of there, and we just thought it was hilarious. And they were like proud of it too. They were like, yeah, he's worked at Chuck E. Cheese and the Cinemark Corporation. And we were all like, what do you lie about? Lie on your resume, dude. What are you doing? How did you get this?
Why would you even take that job? Like, that is horrifying to walk into.
Oh my God, so unprepared. And they're changing the menu completely. All the staff that was left was from the original head chef, so they were bitter. Ooh. They were like, we were told this is what we would be doing. We were told we were going to be cooking something that we were passionate about, that we had a hand in creating the menu.
Right.
And then this chain was like, now you're going to start cooking the food that we have at our other locations. And so not a chain, more of like a restaurant group that owns several like vegan-friendly restaurants / breweries in the Los Angeles area.
Okay.
And they're like, you're going to have this burger that we have at our big location, and we're going to sell that here now. And it's like, we're going to do this, we're gonna do that, and it's just they just changed it up completely. So the staff stopped caring.
Yeah.
So they loved me because I just give them liquor. Yeah. I would just give them alcohol all the time. I'd just ring it in and then be like, hey, can you comp this to the manager? Because I comped everything you ever wanted. They'd be like, what table was it for? I'd be like, does it matter? They'd be like, who cares? There's no, even the managers had given up. Like most of the managers left by the time like I was getting fired.
Wow.
They were just like, yeah, this is stupid. This is the dumbest shit ever.
That sounds like that's so typical too. That situation happens to so many people because people don't know how to run restaurants. They want to open them and then they think, oh, this is a good idea. This is going to work out well. And then it's like, no, it's not. Just because you served tables back in the day doesn't mean you know how to run a fucking restaurant.
No, not at all. This guy was this GM was a beverage manager at like another one. He had never been a general manager. He had never done with back of house and front of house at the same time.
Jesus.
He had just done with ordering beer, liquor, and all that, and being in charge of a beverage menu.
Jeez.
And just was thrown into it. And he was he was impressed because I knew he was like, so you like beer? I was like, yeah, I love beer. He was like, oh, what kind of beers do you like? I was like all sorts. He's like, what's your favorite? I was like, I like this beer from this place right now. He was like, okay. So you could like tell me about beers? I was like, yeah. He was like, what's the ABV of like a Budweiser? And I was like, I think it's like 4.5 or 4.2, something like that. He's like, impressive. And then I was like talking to him like a week after we were like starting like the training, and he was like, he had like a beer question. He's like, Stella, what kind of beer is that? I was like, a Pilsner. He was like, wow. And then he like came up to me. He's like, we hired you for your beer knowledge. And I was like, my beer knowledge? Just a moron. Just knew absolutely nothing about beer. I would fight with him at tables because he would just say stupid stuff.
Wait, this was the GM?
This was the GM. Yeah, we would get in arguments at table. Like he came up one time and was dropping the wrong drinks at a table. And I was like, oh, no, that's for that table over there. And he looks at me, he's like, are you sure? And I was like, no, never mind. Just put them down.
Yeah.
And he gives them to him, and then the girls are like, oh, yeah, these aren't our drinks. He's like, oh, sorry. I mean, maybe I grabbed the wrong ones, or maybe Christian put it in wrong. And I looked at him, I was like, doubt it. Just at the table. And he just stared at me. I stared at him. The two women that were at the table were like scared. They looked like, oh, shit, what the fuck's about to happen? And then the GM just sulked and walked away. He was such a cuck. It was amazing. I thanked him when he fired me because I didn't have to work for him anymore. I was like, thank you so much that I don't have to see your face anymore. He's like, yeah, you're welcome. He didn't know how to react because he's such a little pussy. We used to just like rag on him in the kitchen. Like he would like walk in and we'd just make fun of him and be like, here's this fucking piece of shit. Just be like, shut up, guys. Just like scared of his staff because we disrespected him so much.
Restaurant employees can be ruthless when they are on the prowl. Like when we're ready to attack, we'll fucking attack.
Oh yeah.
I've done the same thing. I should have definitely been fired from my other job for sure. Like the GM was walking around a bunch of trainees like to show them around the restaurant, and I was getting like a little slam. The place I worked at had two bars, one like the main bar and then like a back bar. And I was working the back bar, and I think it was during like Sunday brunch or something, Saturday brunch maybe, and shit was taking way too long, way longer than it should have. And I was getting fucking irritated, and when I would get irritated, I would show it. I would fucking kick the kitchen doors open, and I'd like throw shit, and I'd yell, and I'd scream. And my manager's in the middle of the kitchen, like trying to give a tour or whatever. And I just like kicked the door open. I was like, what the fuck, you guys? And my GM is trying to like, and he was such a pussy too, but he was trying to like act kind of like cool and impressive in front of the newbies. And he's like, Heather, what is it? What can I do for you? I go, I need you to get the fucking food out. And I just burst out there. And I like go through the rest of my shift. And at the end of my shift, he like comes up to me, and I apologize because I was like, I was angry, but he's like, you ever talk to me like that again, this will be the last thing you'll ever do at this restaurant. I was like, don't make promises you can't keep.
That sounds amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like, you can let me go right this second, but you won't. No. Oh my God,
I'm good at my job. Yeah. You know that.
Yeah. Oh my, managers, my favorite thing about managers is when they try to act like like if they get stuck, like you come into work and you're like, dude, I had to pull a fucking double. I've been here all day. They're like, that's me every day. And it's like, well, I didn't sign up for to be a manager. You did.
Yeah.
You
this
know?
isn't my career. This is you're settling. I'm not. I'm working here while I try to do something I actually want to do.
Right. I have goals and dreams and desires. You clearly do not. So that's fine.
You're cool with making $55,000 a year. Good for you. Bragging about it.
Congratulations.
You have a parking spot. Wow. How cool.
You get to eat different food here all the time. Oh, I envy you.
Amazing. I don't want to eat this fucking food all the time. I'm so sick of all this fucking food.
I'm so sick of it. Oh my God, I love it. Managers, they're funny beings. They are.
When they try to help is my favorite. There was one at the brew pub I used to work at, the one that went out of business that I got fired from, who was just she had no clue what she was doing. I think she was like 23 or something like that. And at that point in time, I was 26. Yeah. So it was like she was younger than me and she had no experience. She was like fresh out of school, like something like food or like hospitality major.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And she would just like have these weird ideas. She was like, okay, Christian, I need you to break the back patio. I was like, well, I'm near the front door. So can I break the front patio and do the front? And then she was like, no, I have so-and-so doing that. I was like, well, she's working in the back of the restaurant. Like, shouldn't she do the back of the restaurant and the back patio? I do front patio, front of the restaurant. No, just do what I say. And I was just like, all right. And then she came up to me when I was obviously struggling.
Yeah.
And she was like, you can't handle this? I was like, no. Like, I have to walk clear across the restaurant to go to half my section each time when I could have just walked out a door and been in the other part of my section. She's like, well, what can I do for you? I was like, leave me alone. That's what you can do right now. Oh, you don't have to talk to me like that. I was like, I absolutely do. You can leave me alone. She was gone in like 2 weeks. She was like, I can't handle the stress. Anyway, when I told her, because like their side work there was at the end of the night, they're like, you got to polish all the racks of glasses. You got to polish all the silverware. You got to fold all the towels for the next day. You got to clean up the patio and put a rope in between all the tables to keep them connected together so people don't steal them. And I was like, hey, this is a lot. Like, you should have the morning do some of the polishing.
Right.
Because morning opening's really easy. Well, if you can't handle it, you don't have to work here. And I was just like, I'm just making a suggestion to cut down on labor.
Yeah.
But, all right, cool. Yeah. I'll be here till 1 a.m. polishing. We closed at 10. I'll be here till 1. And they'd be like, why are you on the clock for so long? I'm like, are you out of your goddamn...
That's my favorite thing. They're like... especially when they don't take the advice from a server who's in that grind every single day, who's like, I think it probably would work better. Like, all you have to do is just think about it and be like, yeah, maybe they're right. But like, then my favorite when they're like, all right, so you need to make sure you're finishing your side work and then we need 50 roll-ups. And then an hour later when you're still doing that shit, they're like, you needed to get off the clock an hour ago, you violated. And you're like, okay.
You told me to do this.
Yeah.
You told me. Oh, I didn't want to do this. I wanted to go home. I want to go get drunk. That's all I want to do right now. You don't understand. You're making me stay here.
You're making me stay here.
No, you're mad at me because you made me stay here. Do you not get it? Never registers.
Never registers. Never. And they're like, you violated again? You're like, because you made me. I don't know.
They're like, remember, we're a family here. It's like, no, get the fuck away from me. We're not.
Yeah, if we're family, give me $20. I need gas money.
Yeah. That's what my family would do. Fucking family member.
Bartender, I need a drink.
All right.
It's the bartender segment. All right. So, yeah, what's your go-to after a shitty night?
Well, right now, because I am able to drink for free at the brewery, it's beer. But, like, if any other bar, I'm really basic. Just give me Tito's and soda. And
a Tito's and soda.
A double Tito's and, like, a splash of soda, and I'm good to go. I want to taste the liquor because it just doesn't do anything anymore. Yeah. Like, the taste of it, like 4 years ago, I would, like, react to it. But now it's just give me the straight liquor. I don't want the filler. I don't want anything sweet in there. I just want it basically straight up with just, like, a touch of soda water. That's my go-to.
Just the splash.
Yeah. Give me a little bit of lime, maybe, if I'm feeling crazy. If I'm eating tacos or something like that with it. But honestly, drink of choice is whatever's nearby.
Accessible.
Yeah. Honestly, that's what it's turned into. Like, I don't like Jameson, but there was a time at my work where we had a bottle of Jameson in the office, and we would drink that, and I'd be like, I don't like this at all, but I don't care right now. It's not beer.
It's not beer. I know. Beer is great, but man, I love beer and I love IPAs especially, but they be hitting so hard.
Oh my God, it's too much.
It's too much.
It's so heavy. And there's
Yeah.
people who work at the brewery I work at. They're all good people. Everybody I work with, I really like right now. They'll be there every day after work drinking. And I mean, I do the same thing too. And I know how my body feels.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys must feel off because they're there most of the days. I'm there 3 to 4 days a week. They're
Yeah.
there sometimes 7 days.
Wow.
And they're going at it every single day.
Jesus.
And they're older than me too. Like some of them are in their 40s and they're still just getting hammered off just beer.
How old are you?
20. I'm going to be 28 soon.
Okay, so you're still... See, I think what happens is from the age of like probably 28 to... I'm not sure what the cutoff age is yet, but I think it's probably around like 38 is where like your hangovers hit so hard and you feel like you have to prep for them. And then you just like work through that part of your life. And then all of a sudden you get like towards your 40s and you're like, fuck hangovers. They're bitches. And you just drink like whatever you want.
I can't wait to get to that.
I know. I'm like in the middle of I have to prep for days. Like if I'm drinking, I need to be like, okay, so the next day I can't have shit to do because I may wake up feeling like shit. And
Started forcing myself to just chug water throughout the day. Like every day
genius.
when I wake up, drink a big cup of water, afternoon,
Yep.
throughout the day, just drinking water. And while I'm drinking, like just trying to remember to keep throwing water in
so
my
hard.
system. And it's helped.
yeah.
But there's some nights where you forget water exists and you just keep going. I see the customers where like I'll see them like hammer, like they're doing the thing with their eyes where they're
Yep.
half shut, half open. Their head is moving side to side. And I'm like, you want a glass of water? Like, fuck no. And I'm like, all right, man, you're making the biggest mistake of your life.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
We're fine.
Like, I don't need no water. I'd be like, you are a great candidate for water right now. This would benefit you so much. I don't think you understand.
Oh man, I love it, and I love it when you bring them water too, and they're almost offended. They're like, "What is this shit?"
I don't need this.
Yeah,
Spill it, or they'll like pass it to their friend who isn't drunk.
he's been drinking water all night.
Yeah.
It's like, actually, I did need another. Thank you.
When I'm really busy though and in the weeds and people don't want water, they're my favorite people.
Oh, they're the best.
It's either like when I'm slow and someone's drunk and they don't want water, I'm like, you're an idiot. But
Yeah.
then when I'm super busy and I know they need water, and then they ask for it, I'm like, you're a fucking asshole. How dare you ask for water right now?
Yeah.
Can I close out too? How dare you want to close out while I'm busy right now? Can we
Really? You want to leave now? You want to leave this place so that I can get a whole nother round of fucking customers that I have to work for?
I don't
No.
want them. I don't want them here. Right?
them.
I've got you guys settled in. I just got triple sat. I don't want another. Can we order? Can you order? Oh, are you kidding me?
Right now?
Right now? Right?
Do you know
right now.
exactly what you want to order? Or do you have any questions? Because I don't have time to answer them right now. Fucking people, man. You're an asshole. This is the asshole of the week segment.
Okay.
Do you have a story or something of a person who was like the biggest asshole that you feel like you've served?
Yeah. It got me fired too.
Ooh,
so
nice.
yeah, like on the spot.
Oh.
It was a job at a place in Santa Monica where I was a food runner and I was making shit money. So I was kind of like over it. And earlier in the day, the server forgot to get spoons as a pre-drop for somebody's ice cream. So I went to get the spoons and I'm going to take them to the table and she rips them out of my hand. She's like, I don't need your fucking help. And I was like, all right. So it kind of like set me in like a mood, like, what the fuck is happening?
Right.
I'm not making any money. I just went to help this server and she said, I don't need your fucking help. It's like, I'm not encroaching on your table. I'm a food runner. I'm not a
Yeah.
server right now. And then this one family comes in. They have a reservation because this is like a nicer place where, like, I walked in. They were like, we have 60 covers today. I was like, I don't know what that means. Like at this
Is that
point in time.
reservations?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
and they said, I was like, oh, just say reservations.
Yeah,
Like, what are you getting fancy for?
I know, right?
And then I would see like people's checks. I'd be like, that's why they're getting fancy. All right,
Yeah,
this makes
yeah.
sense. But like this family comes in, older family, and their table doesn't have enough chairs or whatever. And I'm new, and they're like, can we just take a chair from that table? I was like, let me check if that table has a cover or what they want to do with the chairs. Let me talk to the host. So I go to the host. I'm like, hey, can you get an extra chair for this table? I don't know where you want me to grab one from. I don't know what table. She's like, yeah, I'll take care of it. Don't worry about it. I was like, perfect. So time goes by. They're like, that chair, we're still waiting on it. I was like, oh, let me go tell the host again. So because I'm like brand new. So I'm like, I don't want to take something and have them be like, where the fuck is the chair?
right,
And like that's my anxiety making me fear this.
of course.
So then I like go up to her and I was like, hey, could you do that chair for that table? She's like, oh, my bad. So then I go to drop off their food, and they have the chair, but they're like, oh, look who it is, the guy who can't do anything for us. And I was like, oh, yep, sorry, man. And the guy was like, can I ask you something? I was like, yeah. He's like, are you a dumbass? And I was like, no, I don't really think so, man. Like, I'm new here, man. I just didn't want to grab anything. He's like, are you a dumbass? And I was like, dude, go fuck yourself. And I just walked away, and I went into the locker room, and I started to put on my tennis shoes. I was like, took off my non-slips, took off the apron. I was putting on my shoes, and the manager comes up. He's like, can I talk to you? I was like, no doubt. And we just go into the office. He's like, you tell a customer to go fuck himself? I was like, yeah, can I leave? He was like, yeah, you're fired. I was like, cool. So I can just leave right now. He's like, yeah. I was like, you don't need me to sign anything? He's like, no, just go. Just get out of here.
God.
I was like, perfect.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
There's been so many. That one just stuck with me. Are you a dumbass? I was like,
what a fucking dick.
Is this rhetorical?
Yeah.
I feel like this is rhetorical. But he was like, then he doubled down and he wanted me to answer. And I was like, oh, fuck you, dude.
The type of, like, how do you have that thought process when you go out to eat and you can just say that to somebody you have no idea anything about that person? Like, you could be like suicidal, and that could have been just like, you know what, that put me over the edge, I'm gonna go do it right now. Like, like, how do you have that kind of feeling towards somebody else? Like, that's so rude.
Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't. Every customer is a bad customer. Like,
I know.
Until I see what they tip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or if until you see what they tip. I mean, unless they're regular, and then you know what they're like. But
it's the regular that doesn't tip that well.
But talks to you the whole shift.
Oh, I don't talk to them.
No.
I've got at this job now, I just don't talk to them. If they don't tip me, we don't have the time of day for it. We just don't. Like, and everyone is behind that. Like, an owner recently was like, yeah, fuck people who don't tip. You guys don't have to be nice to them.
Oh, good.
Like, whoa. He was like, we want you guys to make money and be happy, because if you guys are happy making money, customers will be happier. And if you get a dickhead of a customer, we don't need that person back here.
I wish every manager at every restaurant would say that, because that would be amazing.
The manager I have right now is great. The two I worked under 3 actually, but one of them got fired as soon as I started there. But the 2 that I've worked under for an extended period of time at this place I'm at now have been great.
Nice.
Like, they stand up for you. They'll like tell people to fuck off, basically. Like, there was first one was a female, and like men would, like, regulars would like try to hug her all the time.
Right.
And she would just be like uncomfortable, and she'd just straight up tell him, she'd be like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna hug you.
Yeah.
And it was just the best thing to watch. Like, somebody just stand up to customers all the time. And I was like, you guys are my heroes.
It's like finally.
I know. For so long, we've just had to, like, at corporate places, I just had to be,
Yeah.
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 Yeah, that sounds great.
No, I love this show.
Yeah.
I do.
Like, I almost got fired from that big chain because the joke that people like to say all the time of, can I get you anything else? Yeah, $1 million.
Oh, yep.
That you hear all the time. And I was just,
winning lottery numbers.
yeah. So frustrating. It's just such a bad, and as like a comic, I'm like, you're a hack, and, and I don't respect you now. But this one lady, she was like, oh, this looks good. And I was like, anything else I can get for you? She was like, shoebox full of money. And I was like, what? Like, I heard her clearly. I was like, what? She's like, a shoebox full of money. I was like, huh? She's like, a shoebox full of money. And I was like, one more time? She's like, a shoebox full of money. I was like, I didn't hear you. She's like, never mind. I was like, yeah, I thought so. I just walked away. Can I speak to a manager? Can I talk to a manager?
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were like, you can't do that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. But now at the place I'm at, I got to do all that fun shit. Like, somebody didn't tip me on 50, and I saw them hit 0 on it, and then I saw them start to get up, like they weren't pulling cash out. So I was like, hey, was everything okay with the service? They're like, actually, it wasn't. We asked if we could move tables, and you wouldn't let us. And I was like, oh, I have a 14 table section at the job I have right now. Like, the only reason I don't complain about it is because I know the job's going to be sick when it gets back to normal.
Right.
Like, I mean, I complain when I'm there. I'm just not complaining right now. I complain a lot right now.
Of course.
When
You
I'm
can
there.
love your restaurant job, but literally hate it while you're there.
It's a nightmare right
Yeah.
now. It's awful. It's 14 tables in a section.
That's
it's just
insane.
It's way too much.
Yeah.
And they're all demanding assholes. So,
Yeah.
shit. How did I forget? Oh, and I was like, was everything okay with the service? So actually, no, we wanted to move tables. I was like, hey, man, I forgot. I have a 14 table section. There were no tables available up there. If you would have reminded me when you saw one, I definitely would have helped you out.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, she didn't do anything either. And they pointed to our security guard. And I was like, well, she's a security guard. She didn't, like, that's not her job. She's just here to make sure everybody's safe.
Right.
And I was like, but just letting you know, like, I rely on tips, man. That's how I make my money. That's how I pay my bills. So if there's something that was definitely out of my control, I just don't think it's fair.
Yeah.
And the guy takes out his wallet. He pulls out a 10 and 2 ones. And I'm like, okay. And then he puts the 10 back in his pocket and goes to hand me the 2 ones. And I just take it and I just crumble it up and I just throw it on the table. I'm like, I don't want that. Okay. And they just flabbergasted for like 10, 15 seconds, just standing there, mouths wide open. And I just walk, and the security guard who overheard them talking shit on her, like, comes up to me. She's like, thank you. I was like, yeah, fuck that. We don't $2.
$2.
We don't need that shit.
Yeah. What a fucking tool.
No.
But that guy's the... You're an asshole. That's definitely the asshole.
Definitely
the asshole. Wow. What a fucking piece of shit. People can really, they come out. I used to work at a bank and I thought people were bad there, like involved their money. And then I worked at a restaurant and I was like, oh my God, it's so much worse. People first of all, and this, I say this probably almost on every podcast, you go out to dinner because you're too lazy to cook your own meal. That's the bottom line. You're going out because you don't feel like cooking or you don't know how to cook or whatever. So really, I'm doing you a service because you're too much of a piece of shit to do anything for yourself. So I'm going to do everything, literally bring you the drink almost to your mouth. Like, so maybe just treat me with a little respect, just a little bit.
Yeah.
That's it.
Also, I'm a human.
Yeah.
That's the big part.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the same as you.
Yeah.
Like, we're
just the same.
We're human beings. Like, I have a mom. I have a dad. I have grandparents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure you have a kid. Usually people who are rude have kids. So I don't understand why you'd be mean to somebody's kid. Like,
Yeah. I don't get it. People they're so fucking rude.
But the people, yeah.
Okay.
I would take, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I would take a rude customer, though, over one that's really nice and then tips like shit. That's the most frustrating. Because that's a bait and switch. Like, you feel like you're going to get something because you're joking around with them. They're laughing at your jokes. You're laughing at theirs. Genuinely.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they leave you nothing. Like, there were these people one time, ordered a bunch of stuff to go, and they were like, we have a beer vlog on YouTube. I was like, oh, cool. I wish we were open regularly. I would have invited you inside. We could have done a tasting and stuff so you guys could really, like, dig into it. And then I see them hit on the iPad $0 tip on 80, and I just go, oh, all right. And, like, in the conversation, they're like, do you want stickers for our podcast? I was like, yeah, sure. So I take the sticker, and as I'm walking away, I crumble it up in my hand and just toss it into the trash can as they're just watching. They're like, and I turn around and look at them, and there's, once again, just mouths agape, just, like, flabbergasted again. Just, it's so much fun to do, because they're like, they don't expect that you're allowed to do that you're allowed to stand up for yourself. And I'm working my dream job right now. You really are. You're working every server's, not every server's dream job, but every server's serving dream job. Yeah. Because if every server could treat people the way that they were getting treated, like, from their guests, so many less people would go out to eat, probably one, but people would be so much less rude, probably, because they're scared to get called out. But I feel like, too, because we're comics, that's a huge reason that's such a slap in the face, too, though, when they do zero, because you're like, I literally just gave you a performance that most people have to pay at least, like, $10 to $15 if you're at a show to go see or, whatever. So it's like, fuck you. That material was good shit, and I know it was, and you tipped me nothing on it. Yeah. Like, I was fucking on. I wasn't even using jokes that I use with every table. Like, I was on fire for you guys right now. I was working. Yeah. I was working hard right now. I was being witty. I was, like, having fun. I put on a clinic for you. You leave me a 0? A 0. Are you kidding me? Never again. And then they come in again. They're like, hey, man, what's up? And you're like, oh, yeah, I remember you guys. Oh, I'll tell them. Yeah. Yeah. I've had it before where, like, regulars will bring a friend in and their friend won't tip, but the regulars will. Yeah. Like, yo, your friend didn't tip. And they'll be like, oh, sorry. I'm like, what are you going to do? Yeah. And then they'll, like, pull out their wallet and they'll give me, like, $1. I'll be like, perfect. Because I hook up regularly. Yeah, we're allowed to give them, like, certain prices on beers, and sometimes, like, we'll give them a round. Yeah, and it's like, yo, you brought that in here. Yeah, huh? You gonna make up for it? Yeah, like, yeah, sure. Yeah. Like, one time I, like, gave one a round of beers, and then, whatever, the person was like, oh, thank you so much, and it was like a new person, and then just walked away, and I was like, no, that was free. They were like, oh. Yeah, thanks. And I was like, okay, you don't understand. Let me tell you right now, you blew it. this is over. He was like, what? And I was like, enjoy your beer, but this is over. Okay. And he comes back again, and I charge him full price. And he's like, oh, well, what, like, expecting to be hooked up again. And I was like, nah, man. Remember that thing I said about that being done? That's what I meant.
It's so simple. It's so simple, especially if you get something free at a restaurant. Tip on that free item.
Yes.
If it's how much was the beer that you gave him?
$7.
$7. You were already going to spend that $7 ordering the beer, so you couldn't give him 4?
Yeah.
You couldn't give him a 5-spotter?
2?
I always like 2.
Something.
Yeah. A normal, whenever I'm at like somewhere, and because I'm a huge person on service too. So like if I like the bartender, I'll tip them fat early, like an extra fat one, so that like every time I go back, like I'll tip them then regular, but then they know that like that person, they'll remember, because we remember good tippers.
Of course.
That night, not like later on, but like while you're there. And it's such an easy, I tell this to my cousin all the time because he's younger and he's just trying to figure out life, I guess, but he doesn't quite understand, like he's starting to understand the concept of tipping, but he's still not like on board with it because he's never had to be in the trenches. And I'm like, I'll show him. I'll go out somewhere and like I'll tip people good and they'll talk to me, they'll give me free shit or whatever. I go, see that? That's because I tipped them well. That's why they remember. That's why they hooked me up with free shit. And he's like, yeah, I guess so. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so, because they did me a service, a good service. It's because we always talk about going into like a weed shop, you know, and they have like tip jars out at weed shops. And I go to this specific one and I love it there because any other weed shop that I used to go to, not so much now that they're like more like, I feel like an actual legitimate business, but I would go into them and it'd be just like these like stuck up bitches who would just be, and I've got like fucking anxiety and depression, and so I need shit to be like, you know, and I'm like, excuse me, I need this, this, and this, and they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, these are our indicas, these are our sativas, like, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, okay, well, do you have one that's like mellow, something that's not gonna make me racy? And she's just like, you know what I mean? So I go to this specific one now and I'll talk to the people that work there and they're like, oh yeah, girl, we got this one. It's this. So they're great. And I always tip them. I don't know what the protocol for weed shop like percentage is. I'm assuming it's probably like a delivery, like a 10%, right?
Depending on how much I get, I throw a 5 in when I used to go. Now I do a delivery service and it all depends on how much they're bringing.
Yeah,
like
I guess
it's not a percentage. It's more like a round number. It's either 5 or 10.
Okay,
on a delivery.
I like lately have been doing like 20% on what I get because I just don't know, and I'm like, you know, they're cool. They're giving me a good service, and I enjoy coming back and knowing that like they're gonna help me out. So, but I don't know what the protocol. But it's just like
now I feel like an asshole for not doing 20%.
But I would assume it would be 10. Yeah. Because I would assume it would be like a delivery charge, which would be like $5 or $10, like depending on what you get.
Yeah.
Just because they're not like actually making, like, you know what I mean? Like bringing you stuff as much as, I don't know. Yeah. It seems more like a delivery charge, but.
Yeah. And when I used to do Postmates on my bike, like most people don't tip. So I would be very happy with a $5. When someone would hand me a 5, like cash, or I would see they tip 5 afterwards, I'd be like, that's awesome. Yeah. So that was like my point of view of like, oh, when I did this a delivery, I thought $5 on anything was great.
It probably is though. It probably is, because I mean, unless you're ordering like a fucking, you know, an ounce, like I think $5 to $10 is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, what are you getting? Less than like $100 or less, probably.
Really nothing, really. Yeah, like a little cartridge for my packs, and then a little bit of flour. But flour I usually buy from a guy at work, or it's given to me by customers. So.
Well, that's true. You have the dispensary next door that makes it nice.
Hook us up.
Yeah, I know. I love that. But yeah, when you give, people give back to you, and it's easy. Dining out tip of the week.
Yep.
Do you have a specific dining out tip of the week that you want to give out?
Dining out tip. I wrote something down. I think I mentioned it earlier.
Okay.
But let's see. Yeah, look at the menu. Like, especially if you call me over to take your order when I'm visibly busy. Mm-hmm. This just happened. I was running around in my 14 table section, and somebody at a table I was just at where the girl said she didn't want to drink, and I tell them when they say they don't want something because their beer's half full or it's a quarter full, and they think they're like, oh, well, you'll be back in 5 minutes. I tell them, all right, your turn's up.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to go to my next bunch of tables in my big section, and then I'm going to go to the next bunch, and then the next bunch, and then it will be your turn again. That's going to be like anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, sometimes 30 minutes. And they'll be like, that's fine. I'll be like, okay, I'm letting you know. Like, it's going to be a while. That's fine. And then this just happened. Called me over, waved me down. I was like, yeah, I'll be there. So then I'm like, I had a little bit of a lull. So I was like, okay, I have time. So I go over there, like 30 seconds extra.
Yeah.
Like, you know what it's like when you can like time it out in your head. You're like, I have about 15 to 20 seconds to go to this table. But they were waving me down. There's no way they don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them like, what can I get for you? She's like, oh yeah, can I get a beer? I'm like, did you want the same one? No. She scrolls through her phone looking at the menu, and I'm just staring at her, just blank face. And I see like her friend like laughing, like making the face of like, oh, I'm sorry about this. And I like look at her friend and roll my eyes, and then her friend gives me a dirty look. Her friend's like, like staring at me. And it's like, why did you call me over if you weren't ready? I'm 100% in the right.
Yeah.
Right
Oh
now.
yeah.
I'm 100% in the right.
Yeah.
And then that's the main thing. Like that's like, there's COVID ones that are big right now. Like, stop moving tables right now. Like, just stop thinking you can just grab whatever table you want when you were already sitting at it, especially if you already ordered food.
Right.
Stop moving tables. I
hate that shit.
that actually happens before COVID.
Yeah.
Like, people would
Quite
be like,
often.
we actually like that table. They'll move to it without telling you.
Yep.
And the food comes out, and the
And
food
then they're
runner,
like,
that's
waving.
ours.
Yeah.
It's like, the food runner will be yelling at me. Like,
Yeah.
where the fuck are they? I'll be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
They just and then I'll look over, and there'll be 3 people will be sitting in a booth made for like 8 tops and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's where they fucking went. Well, we can't sit here.
Yeah.
Self-seating too
Yeah.
is another big one. Don't just assume it's self-seating.
Yeah.
Ask somebody.
Just ask.
People do that all the time. Oh, we didn't get any menus. And it's like, well, you
set yourself. That's why.
you got to go check in at the front. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, can't you just get a menu? No, it's a 2-hour wait. Right? 2 hours. We can't wait that long. You're going to have to.
Sorry, you got to get up.
Yep. Or people like, can you find us a spot at the bar? It's like, no, that's why I said it's first come, first serve. The bar's first come, first serve. Could you find us a seat? I don't think you understand what I'm saying right now. Like, I don't.
First come, first serve. Pretty simple.
Yeah, you would think.
There's endless amounts of dining out tips that we could give out, but those are really good ones. I mean, especially with COVID, people moving your seat. You now take it from us just being like, yeah, you just pick up your stuff and wipe it down. Now we have to take the whole like minute and a half where you have to spray it and let the sanitizer like sit in there or whatever the fuck it's got to do. And then we have to wait. And then the people at the host stand are getting mad because you're moving table. It's just like, just don't give us the headache.
Just as your table. Like, I never ask for a different table.
No.
Like, if I want a booth, I'll tell them up front. And
Yep.
they'll be like, that's 20 minutes extra wait. I'll be like, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll wait 20 minutes. But if I tell them wherever, first thing that comes available, and they put me somewhere and I'm like, this is right in the sun, I'm sitting in the sun.
Sitting in the sun.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I went to this Korean restaurant and they put me right in the sun, and none of the other tables, every other table was put in the shade, and I'm just sitting in the sun like I'm on display for all these other diners. And it didn't even cross my mind to go, can I move?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is my fault. I should have been like, can I have something in the shade?
Yeah.
That's 100% on me, because I knew it was sunny.
Yeah.
When I left the house.
Just use your words.
Yeah, same
That's
thing.
it.
Same thing when it's too cold outside. Because for the longest time, it was just outdoors only.
Right.
We just opened up inside at my work, and people would honestly complain about the weather. And there were times where I'd be tipped. That's why Yelp is the biggest joke, because people will review a restaurant based off of how they physically felt, not how the service was, not how the drinks were, not how the food was. They'd be like, it was cold. It's like you were outdoors. Was it not cold when you left your house? Did that just all of a sudden you didn't check a weather report, even though knowing that it was outdoor only dining?
And they just go. My favorite thing though is that they do that, and then or if it's too hot or too cold, like during the summertime when it was like 90 some degrees and we'd have to run around outside serving people, and they'd be like, God, it's so hot out here. No fucking shit, bitch.
Yeah.
Do you see me in all black having to run around with this fucking robot shit on my face so I can fucking make sure you have your chicken tenders? Like, obviously it's hot out here. Oh, that shit would fucking
So
piss
we
me
can't
off.
sit inside. It's like, legally, no, you can't. Do you think I would rather be working inside right now in 90-degree heat?
Yeah, literally.
Are you sure there's nothing you can't fit us in? Like, I would get 4 or 5 calls a day. Like when we were closed, like when we weren't allowed to be open, and I'd be working the to-go window at this brewery.
Yeah.
People would call. They'd be like, "Hey, how long's the wait for a table for 3?" I'd be like, "There's nowhere's open, man." This would be like May of 2020.
Yeah.
It would be like, "Hey, how long's the wait?" I'd be like, "You're not even gonna ask, like if we're open." You're just gonna assume a brewery in LA is just serving people when nowhere is serving people anywhere in Southern California.
We got a lot of calls too. We would get people when we did open up for patio, and they would walk up to the host stand and be like, "Yeah, I want to sit inside," and they're like, "There isn't any inside dining," and they're like, "No, I sat inside before," and it's like, "No, you fucking haven't."
Yeah. Before COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you did then, and it's like. And obviously when this all first went down, a lot of restaurants like were struggling because they didn't have a patio. So like, for instance, my restaurant particularly, like we have a patio, but we weren't using it. And so we had to struggle to get tables out there, and we didn't have like any umbrellas and stuff. So people were just literally sitting in the sun, but it was like, what else do you want us to do?
Yeah.
Do you want me to like rip the fucking leaves off the tree and just hold them over your head so you can eat? Like, don't come out to eat then. Order to go.
Yeah, you walked in here, you looked around and saw what it was like, and you still decided to sit down, order, and then complain.
Yeah.
It was like this when you got here.
Yeah.
The sun didn't come out while you were here.
No, it didn't.
It was out the whole time.
It was there the whole time. Crazy to think about it, I know. Break. This is my favorite. So we read a random Yelp review. I think this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick the restaurant that people either work at now or have worked at, so that I can, because it's like otherwise, like, what random restaurant? I usually just go with my old one because there's so many negative reviews on it. But this one is a review at a brewery in Los Angeles. And this reviewer, his name is Matt B. from Pico Rivera. He has a Superman shirt on in his profile, which means he's probably an epic douchebag. So makes sense as to the 1 star. I just love, like, I've probably reviewed somewhere a 1 star before. I had an issue. Do you live in the Valley, or do you live down close to your job?
K-Town.
Oh, you live in Koreatown. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's this little restaurant over here called Eat, and it's like a little breakfast lunch spot, and it's super good, but I've gone there before, and the service I got was terrible. Well, it wasn't necessarily the service as it was nobody knew that we were a table that they needed to serve, so we sat there for like 30 minutes. And asked for the manager, and we were just like, and we weren't even like, we didn't want anything comped. We weren't like, we just wanted to say, just so you know, they forgot about us for 30 minutes, like did not greet us, anything. And he was such an asshole. And he was like, "Yeah, well, I already took off half your bill. Like, what else do you want me to do for you?" And we were just like, okay. And excuse me, I reviewed that one pretty shitty because fuck you.
I've never written a negative Yelp review.
I
can't bring myself. I've written sarcastic 5-star reviews.
Oh, there you go.
That are one time for a sushi place at JFK Airport.
Oh wow.
Which was awful. And I wrote a great review of it. That was obviously so sarcastic. But
There's only been, I think, twice. I think it was that place because I was so just pissed off at the manager, and then another place which also had to do with a manager. And this, I think I read the review on the last podcast. It's called Sun Cafe, and it's like right here. It's a raw, like, vegan restaurant. It's really good. And I saw Lady Gaga there once. No big deal. On 420, actually. It was super dope. And I was trying to go eat there one time pre-COVID, and the manager was so fucking rude to us when we were just standing at the host stand. So I don't even think I made it a 1 star. I think I made it still like a 3 or 4 because I loved their food. But I was just like, this guy sucks. But, he was just being really rude. And I was like, I'm not an inconveniencing person when I go out. I'm like very like understanding. I know how it works, but this guy was just such a cunt.
For me, if a manager's mean, because I eat a lot of Korean food,
Yeah.
and Japanese food and stuff, and to me, if a manager is mean or the staff's mean, that's how I know the food's about to be amazing.
Oh yeah.
So I
In
don't
that
write.
aspect,
Yeah.
it's different though.
That's true. Yeah.
You know?
Very true. Yeah. I just, as soon as they're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Oh fuck yeah, let's go. I'm about to eat some good fucking food."
Yeah. See, that's different because they're just like,
Yeah.
that's how they. I would assume it would be like that, but like this manager at an organic vegan restaurant in Los Angeles, who's like, giving me attitude because I asked how long it would be a wait for 2 people. Like that's literally the art. Like he was like so rude to me. I read the reviews on here. I can't remember exactly what, but I was like, "Fuck you, dude."
Yeah. It's a pretty basic question. What's
Yeah.
the wait for? It's not like how much longer. You were.
Yeah.
What's the wait for 2?
Yeah.
That's,
It was so weird, the situation, and he was just such an asshole. And then instead of like apologizing or anything, he like walked to the kitchen where we could see him and just shoveling food in his mouth. It's an open door. And I'm just like, you fucking embarrassment. But apparently I had like looked up reviews at that place, and apparently a lot of people have complained about this guy. So
Oh, really?
yeah. So it was a common thing. Okay, so we're gonna rate Matt B's review of this brewery in Los Angeles. And he rated it 1 star, and this was on August 2nd of 2020. He says, "This restaurant has been a long-standing favorite of mine among the many breweries in downtown LA until recently. After hosting a party of 6 of my friends, it was near closing time. One of my friends was holding beer that he'd purchased, and the store would keep it. Okay, sorry, I'm reading like a 5-year-old. It was near closing time, and he was holding a beer he'd purchased, and the store would keep for him until we left. After taking a restroom break with my party, I returned to my table to a very disgruntled employee. When I asked for the bill and beer in storage, he instantly reacted with anger in his voice and commented that my party had ripped him off and not tipped. I reminded him that we were still holding beer and had not finalized our tab. He then proceeded to get the bill and a 6-pack of a different beer than what my friend had ordered. After pointing out the error, a supervisor needed to be called to get the proper to-go order. No apology was even offered. As a veteran of the hospitality industry, I was completely appalled by this gentleman's behavior. Never is it appropriate to demand a tip. Never assume your customer isn't tipping when your customer may tip you much heavier in cash. I truly felt insulted and embarrassed by my entire party, which I was hosting. I understand times are hard during COVID, but this does not excuse it in this way."
Fantastic.
Do you know about that situation?
I don't, but I do know that we weren't open from like middle of July to October. So that means that guy waited almost a full month before writing it, which I think is hilarious. I remember everyone that's about me because I pay attention to Yelp for the places I work.
Yeah.
And then as soon as one's written about me, I'll screenshot it and send it to our group chat.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
But no, I don't remember him at all. I could tell you he's wrong.
Yeah.
I can tell you every Yelp review on Yelp. I take the merchant side. I take the restaurant
Always.
side.
Always.
When I watch like YouTube videos of like a fight breaking out at a Burger King,
Yeah.
I take the side of the cashier. I don't even know what happened beforehand.
It's always.
Even if they throw the first punch, I'm like they were acting in self-defense.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
They're working at Burger King.
I don't remember this person at all.
I just love. Well, it's like I'm assuming the only reason that server said something about the tip is that group obviously gave him the assumption that he wasn't going to get anything. Like they obviously were maybe super demanding or rude or something along the lines of like a server's not just going to be like obviously if they're still there drinking, you could be like, oh, they might leave a tip later.
Yeah.
But something must have happened to where they did something or said something or acted a certain way to where the server's like, oh, I'm not going to get tipped. They didn't tip me on this. They're not going to tip me.
Yeah, I mean, I have a theory about what coworker it was because he tends to do stuff like that. He's my favorite coworker. Him and I, as soon as we get like a customer that will ask a dumb question, we'll tell each other and we'll be like, "Oh hell yeah!" We get so excited over just idiots and rude people. I'll never talk shit to people before they leave. I mean, unless they're rude to me.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, if I see us like they hit $0 tip on the iPad or whatever, and they still have like a full beers left, and I will pay attention to them when they put their card in their wallet, and if I see bills in the wallet, then I won't say anything.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, also, here's something customers should start doing. If you're gonna tip cash, let the server know when you hit a 0 on a fucking credit card.
Exactly.
Tell them, like, I'm going to tip cash. That way we don't immediately judge you
Yeah.
by swiping the card, hitting no tip, and then making us just wonder, like, are they going to leave me cash? Like, should I be a dick to them or should I still be nice to them because there's still a possibility?
Yeah.
Like, just tell us and then we're going to be nice to you.
Yeah, as the server, because guarantee you, the second they hit 0 on that iPad, that server probably walked around their table and started picking shit up to get them the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And all you have to do be like is, oh, don't worry, man, I'm gonna throw you some cash. Like,
Yeah.
just tell us so that we don't think that you're a fucking asshole.
Yep.
Because otherwise, we're gonna think you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah. And then when you hand me a $5 bill as the cash tip on a $200 tab, then we'll think you're an ass.
Yeah, yeah, and then we're gonna judge you real fucking hard.
Oh yeah, we're gonna laugh at you.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
We will, yeah, we'll laugh in people's faces. Like there was this one table that left like $3 on 90 or whatever, and they of course stayed till the end.
Yep.
And we have to move in these tables, and they were like, "Thank you, have a good night." As they were finally leaving, and somebody was like, "Yeah, go die." Like, and they were like, "Wait, what?" Like I didn't say this, and I'm not gonna say who did say it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were like, "Yeah, go die," and they're like, "What? What'd you say?" They're like, "Go fuck yourself, leave, don't come back." And they were shocked because they thought $3 on 90 is a good tip.
$3 on 90 isn't a good tip anywhere ever at all.
No,
Even a 10% tip.
no,
That's not even 10%.
no. That's what is that? That's got to be 3% or something like that, or 3.33 or something.
It would be, yeah, about
Close to
3%,
it.
I think. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. Like, if I just wish that if the tables were ever turned and we can walk into the collection agencies that most of these people I assume work at, and I could be like, hey man, I'm not gonna pay you for today because I just don't feel like it. Today's just not a day I feel like giving you any money, so fuck off.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's it, I guess. And they're just like, okay, because it's like, fuck you. You coming just because we get paid hourly, that shit is nothing.
No.
It's nothing.
And they should know that because they pay rent in the same city we live in.
Exactly.
They should know how fucking expensive it is to live in a major city.
Especially Los Angeles, the city that just likes to drive the rent up for fun.
Yeah, it's the same people too who are like the 15 minimum wage and they're like picketing for it and then they don't tip. It's
Yeah.
like, you could make a difference like right now.
Yeah.
Like I know you had fun at Echo Park and your little protest, but like you could have made a difference in my life immediately.
With tipping me appropriately.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all I ever wanted.
Immediate change. You could have done it. You did not take advantage. That's how I know you're full of shit and you're there for Instagram photos.
That's true. Do you have like a thing that they come to look at? Like any certain design in the restaurant that they're like, oh, that place is, we need to take photos in front of that.
Oh yeah, we have a few murals.
Oh
at the
yeah.
brewery. So
Yeah.
people will take pictures. There's one where this may be too descriptive of where it is because this is a pretty unique one, but it's two naked women.
Oh.
It's like an album cover from some band, but it's two naked
okay.
women where their breasts are showing and people will complain about that. And then other people will take pictures in front of
I
it.
love that people complain about
Oh,
that. That's, first of all, you're going into a brewery. I mean, God.
Their complaint is even funnier because they're like, it was inappropriate for our kids. It's like one, at this point in time, we didn't have food. So you just brought your kids to sit there while you drank. And then you're complaining about it being like, our kids didn't find it very cool that there was boobs on the wall. It's like, they shouldn't be here.
Actually, Doug, I'm sure your kids loved that there was boobs on the wall because your 8-year-old is looking them up online on YouTube anyway. So shut the fuck up.
Your kid loved this. This was way better than any other brewery you could have taken them to. You sad excuse for a parent.
And I love it. You're walking into a fucking bar. It's not even like they were walking into a family-friendly restaurant. They're walking into a brewery and going, this doesn't seem appropriate for my children. Well, fucking duh.
Yeah.
Like, it's not appropriate for your children.
It's a bar. This one group that was just looking for things to complain about because we had to throw their friend out. So their friend, a white guy, called somebody the N-word. So we
Oh, shit.
just immediately took him out of there. And then
God, it's too bad you couldn't just throw the whole group of friends out. Obviously, if
we
they're-
tried to, but they were like, no, he's the one who said it. He can leave.
Yeah.
And then they come up to me. They're like, are you a manager? I was like, no. They're like, well, and they just start talking anyways. I'm like, okay. And they're like,
Of course, as they always do.
you threw my friend out. I was like, I didn't throw him out. My security guards threw him out. And they were like, because he said the N-word. And I was like, yeah, directed at somebody.
Yeah.
Like, and he's not black.
Yeah.
And they were like, that's the way we talk where we're from. That's the way we talk. We say it. And then she said it. And I was just like, all right, I don't think you should keep going. Like, I don't think you should keep saying it. She's like, well, you were offended by that word. And I was like, also, my coworker who's black was very offended by the fact that it was used in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
Like, that's the main thing. She's like, well, I'm offended by your coworker's shirt. And I was like, what? And I turned around and I read it. It says, drink rye, hail Satan, was what his shirt read. And I was like, oh, all right. Well, I'm sorry if you're offended by it, but I'm not going to make him change his shirt.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm a Christian. I'm a religious person. And I think that shirt is horrible. I was like, but you're okay with people calling
You're
people
okay
the
with just
N-word?
shouting the N-word
You're
out
cool
to
with that?
people?
She was like, well, that's different. That's where we're from. And I was like, okay, let me mention something. Like, would you have brought up his shirt if your friend wasn't kicked out for saying the N-word?
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, yes, I would. And her boyfriend's standing right next to her. And her boyfriend goes, I don't think you would have. I just called her out. So great. She's just in the wrong, just looking for something to complain about.
Oh, God, they must have been from Florida.
Had to have been.
Yeah.
Had to have been. Or the Inland Empire.
Or the Inland Empire.
California, Florida.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I love it. That's how we say it there. Well, guess what? You're not where you are. You're somewhere else. So
Yeah.
maybe, figure out how they do things and do it that way.
And also, where you're from, where white people are able to just say the
Yeah.
N-word freely.
Yeah.
You're not cool with a hail Satan?
Yeah.
Drink whiskey? You're at a bar. It's a bar-themed shirt he's wearing.
I'm sure your stepdad, when he's railing you from behind, is hailing Satan as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't understand the issue here.
Summoning him.
Summoning him. Oh, my God. People, they'll just find anything to complain about. Of
course.
That's just the beauty of it.
Yeah.
It's the
There's-
best.
So, I'm starting to get bothered by valid complaints though. Like a fly in a drink is starting to bug me because I will straight up drink a fly. Like,
Yeah, I would too.
Oh, yeah, and they always start off with, I hate to do this, or I don't usually do this,
Yeah.
but there's a fly. Why are you doing it now?
Yeah.
Why are you choosing right now? What was different about this fly?
Yeah.
I don't
It's a fruit fly. Just pick it out.
take it out.
You're what I do to people when they do that sometimes, and I obviously am joking with them, but they'll be like, so somebody found their way into my drink, and I'm like, oh, I was like, actually, thank you for letting me know, because now I'll charge you for the extra protein. And they'll be like, what? And I'm like, nothing, I'll get you another drink.
Yeah, I'll be right back. Don't worry, that's gonna be comped. Don't worry about it.
It'll be taken off. Actually, no, we wouldn't comp it for, we would just get her a fresh drink.
Yeah. No, sorry. I guess that's what I meant. But
Yeah.
I've worked at places before where if you complain for like chains, if you complain
yeah.
for 2 seconds, they'll just take stuff off.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be like, all right, and you can keep it. Like people would order a steak well done, they'd get it, they'd finish it, and they'd be like, it was overcooked. And the manager would be like, all right, take it off.
Yep.
And I'd be like, what? Like that's part of my sales. He's like, trust me, it's just easier to do it this way.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't think it is. Because that was a $36 thing that was going to be on the tab.
And he's
that
not gonna
hopefully
tip
they're gonna-
on.
Yeah, they're still not going to tip, and
Yeah.
they never would.
No.
They'd always be. That's why, like, the scene in Waiting, where, yeah, I'm sure everyone, if you're listening to this, you've seen Waiting. There's no way you haven't,
Yeah.
and you're listening to a podcast about serving.
Yeah. And if
Win.
you haven't seen it, fucking get off this podcast right now and go watch it. Waiting.
It's great. It's
great.
Accurately describes what we're going through.
100%.
It describes back of house pretty well.
Yes, it does.
Front of house, the relationships people have.
Yep.
But the scene where where Justin Long's character goes after the white trash person who tips him like $1.15 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "You need this more than me." And then the guy's like, "I need coupons. I want that hat you're wearing." That's the way people actually get.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
It's
and
crazy.
You won't even do anything wrong to them. They'll just order wrong.
Yep.
And think that they're right.
Yep.
And then they'll demand the world.
Yeah.
It's like,
And corporate restaurants will give it to them.
oh yeah.
100%.
I got in trouble one time because this guy, we were slammed. Like this chain restaurant I worked at is by volume the busiest restaurant in the United States.
Damn.
Like that is, we would do so much business in any given night, hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales total
Jesus.
for the whole day. And this one guy came in, he waited 30 minutes. He ordered a well-done steak in the middle of a rush before a Laker game.
Oh, wow.
So
And
tons
wanted
of
it
people-
done before the game so he could watch it.
Well, he was there early. He just wanted it done right away. He thought a well-done steak would be done right away, especially when you have 50 tickets in front of yours.
Right.
And he complained. It was like 30 minutes. He was like, "Where's my steak?" I was like, "Hey, man, it's going to be a while. I told you that when you ordered a well-done steak that it would take a while." He's like,
Yeah.
"Well, it should be done quicker now." I was like, "Bro, you ordered a well-done steak." And just like kind of like chuckled and walked away.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "I want it taken off. I want free drinks. And then the manager was like, "Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever, dude."
Yeah, I fucking hate when they do that. Because it basically comes back. I've had people who I'm trying to think of scenarios that I've had. Like they'll order it after we've told them it's like the grilled chicken Alfredo, for instance, and I'll be like, do you want extra sauce? Because it always comes out dry. No, I don't need extra sauce. Comes out super dry. They never ask for the extra sauce, and then at the end they're like, it was super dry, I don't want it. And it's like, why don't you just fucking say something and ask for the extra sauce, or not order that?
I'll get it for you.
Yeah.
My goal isn't to make your experience bad. That's not my goal.
No.
If you make my life hard, I'm going to try to make yours hard.
Yeah.
But when you walk in, I'm like, I go out to eat.
Yeah.
So I know how to treat people who are going out to eat. Like, I'm not a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I'm recommending something because I understand, and you're not taking my recommendation, and then you complain when I offered you an alternative. Just speak the fuck up.
Just speak up. Just
That's it.
use. It's like if people were just more communicative when you're out it'd be so much easier.
Oh, yeah.
Just so much easier.
If people would, I think, like I said, I eat a lot of Korean and Japanese restaurants, and they have the button on the table you press for when you want service at a lot of these places.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the greatest thing in the world.
That
because
is.
my least favorite part of the job is going to a table and being like, "Everything okay here?"
Yeah.
And they just stare at you,
They're like mid-bite. They're,
Yeah.
And you're
stare
like,
at you,
"Sorry."
and then you walk away, and they're like, "Oh, could we get some more drinks?" It's like, why, what? I asked you if you wanted anything. I was just here.
Or when you grab their cup and you're like, I'm going to get you a refill of the water, and you're like about to walk away, and they're like, excuse me, can I get another water?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you think I have the glass in my hand for? What do you think I was going to do with this? Shove it
Yeah.
up my ass? I don't know.
I even announced it. I narrated my actions. I told you what I was going to do, and you still asked.
I used my words and told you. You just didn't use your fucking ears and listen. Never. They never do.
What do you have? Oh, we have this. Okay. What'd you say? It's like, what? What are you talking? You're the one who asked the question. I didn't just offer up that information. I was like, hey, you want to hear something cool?
Yeah.
It's got parsley on it. What? What are you talking about? I wasn't excited to tell you.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. People's just attitudes and the way that they are when they go out to eat is just
Turn into animals.
I get why people at the DMB are so rude. I
Oh
get it.
yeah. I never blame when people are rude to me when I go out to eat,
Yeah.
be it anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't care. I stopped caring.
Yeah.
Because I like to go to New York. I try to go at least once or twice a year.
Yeah.
And I love the customer service. out
Me
there.
too.
There is no how are you doing. There is nothing. It
Yeah.
is you walk up, you tell them. There's no hey, how you doing? Good. How are you?
Yeah.
What can I get for you? It's you walk up and you go, I'll have this.
Yeah.
And they go, great. This much. You give them a card. Shh. Hit it. They go, all right. You go, all right, and you leave. It's the best thing in the world. It's the best. You can say thank you, and they'll be like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever. Why are you thanking me?
Thank you.
Yeah. I get paid to be here. What are you talking about? Thank you. And here I've seen customers get mad because an employee doesn't thank them for dining there.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. If you skip that step, they'll be offended.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't have to thank you for coming.
Or if you don't introduce yourself with your name, I've had people get mad so many times over that.
Or I've had people get mad for not having a name tag.
Oh, so many times.
Yeah. We didn't see your name tag. I
Yeah.
was like, why do you need...
Or they go like this, like just staring at your chest. You're like, oh, I don't see your name there. Well, you're not going to see it there.
Yeah, you can ask.
Yeah.
You can ask them. I'll give you my name.
I don't want you to know my name.
No.
I don't want you
I
to.
prefer you not to. I
Yeah.
don't... This most recent bad review on Yelp about me,
I saw it.
which I don't even go by that name.
I know.
Which
I
means
figured.
one of my coworkers gave it to him, and I was like, damn it. Who the fuck gave him that name?
Is it not on your tickets? Like ours get printed on the receipts, our names.
No, it's not
lucky.
on there. So we do everything through Square on an iPad.
Oh yeah.
So our names aren't attached to it at all. There's
that's
nothing
nice.
at the place I used to work at. Yeah, all of them would have Christian P written on it, but now it's just anonymous, and they have to ask
thank
me my
God.
name. And if they've been dicks the whole time, they're like, "What's your name?" I'll be like, "Have a good one."
Yeah.
I'll just leave.
Yeah.
I'll be like, "All right, take care."
Yeah.
Like pretend like I didn't hear it, like how they pretend like they didn't hear me the whole fucking time. If they pursue me and they're like, no, what's your name? I'll give it to them.
Yeah.
But if they're just going to ask real quick and not follow up, and I have the opportunity to leave without telling them when I know they're going to want to write something bad.
I think I give false names when I don't like tables.
I've done that.
I think I give out like Shannon or Jessica or something, and they're like, "Oh, okay."
I've given them names of like fired employees, like past, like ones that used to work there, because that way, if like a bad Yelp review shows up with that person's name on it, they're like, "Well, that person was already fired. Like, that must be a review," because people will write reviews months later.
Oh yeah.
So they're like, "Oh, that was probably from then."
Something will like click, and they're like, "Remember that time that server? Let's write a review."
I'm bored. Let's write a review right now. Like,
But most of mine get written when I'm wasted. So.
oh yeah,
Makes sense.
that most recent one about me on there.
Yeah.
He calls me. I think he calls me a big ass jerk.
Yeah, you
definitely.
Dude was
hammered.
just a big ass jerk.
Dude was just a big ass jerk.
Yep.
That's my favorite. That made me belly laugh when I saw that, because I know he was hammered when he wrote it.
It says, because his review is literally, honestly, I don't ever come here to talk crap, but our whole group just got some crappy service for a server named Chris.
Yeah.
Dude was just a big ass jerk.
So I wasn't, and I'll give the whole rundown about what happened, because I wasn't a big ass jerk. They were. So, lady shows up. It's just one person, and I'm like, "Oh, how many in your party?" She's like, 7. And right now in Los Angeles, you can only have 6 to a table. So I tell her, I'm like, "Okay, you guys would have to split tables. You'd have to sit at 2 different ones, but they're going to be close to each other, so y'all can talk across the tables. It's just 6. We don't want to split tables." And I was like, "Is it 6 or is it 7? Because right now we're slow, but we're going to pick up. We got a Dodger game happening soon. Like, you're going to want to grab the table now before it's too late." "No, trust me, we're just 6. So an hour goes by, 7th person shows up. "Hey, the 7th person's here. We're just going to grab this table and push it up against." And I was like, "Thank you for volunteering to grab that table, but also no." And they were like, "Okay, can you push that table towards here?" I was like, "No, because if I combine a table, then that's one table."
Right.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
We're not making a difference here. I was like, "You need to pick who's going to sit there, and the people who are sitting here need to stay here, because that's, and then you guys can't be moving around, because if the city sees that, we're going to be in big trouble."
Yeah.
"Okay, we understand." I go inside, I come back out, they've already swapped. And I was like, "Guys, you guys can't be moving around a ton. I told you that. Please don't do that again." They're like, "Oh, okay." I go inside again. I'm getting them beers. I come out to deliver their beers. I see they've swapped again. And it's like, I got 2 cards for those 2 tables.
Right.
So I'm like, which one do I put on which tab now, because they're moving around? I was like, "Guys, I told you, like, stop moving around. Like, I can get in trouble for this. We can get shut down."
Yeah.
"All right, sorry." I was like, "Stop saying sorry. Just like,
Don't.
in this pattern of behavior." Like, just stop. And they were like, "Okay." And I was like, "All right, just letting you know, I'm off. New server's going to take over for me. He'll get anything you need." And they're like, "Oh, could you get us?" I was like, "Nah, man, I'm off. Have a good one. New server will help you out." And they're like, "Hey, Chris." I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "You're a fucking asshole." And I was like, "All right, bud, have a good one." And just walked away and just sat inside. And I told my manager that happened. And he was like, "Oh, really?" And then he went to go close them out, and they're like, "We're going to do 7 separate checks." He's like, "Nah, you're just going to do 1. And like slid the card and then sent them on their way. Yeah.
7 separate checks. Fuck you. Does nobody know Venmo anymore?
Seriously.
So annoying.
Or Cash, Venmo, Cash App.
Zelle.
Just please.
Like,
stop.
hey, you're my friend. We know each other. Like, I'll get money from you at some point.
Yeah.
Like,
when I'm slammed, I tell people, like, I'll split it 3 ways.
yeah.
But it's got to be split evenly.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "We want to do item by item." And those people never tip even when you accommodate.
No, they don't.
Because they're cheap.
Yeah.
And also, you're going to get somebody who tips $3 on their 3 beers. You're going to get somebody who tips $0 on their 6 beers and their tacos.
Yep.
And it never evens out. It's like, no, I just want to get one person to pay for all of this. And you like zone in on the person who was polite and knew how to order. You zone in on them. It's like, I want like one of you to pay for that. You specifically. They do not pick up on it. So, could you pay for your friends? 'Cause that'd be great. And then just tell them what to Venmo you with tip.
Yeah, it's super easy. Look, this paper with all of the information on it, I'm going to give it to you. You're going to have it. It's a receipt. It'll be able to break it down for you.
Yeah.
They just get, it's the worst. It's so funny. I feel like I'm so out of the loop because I haven't had to serve I served one day like 2 weeks ago, and it was like a breeze because it was a Wednesday night, and it was just like.
Yeah. Nobody's going out.
The only people that go out during the week, like Monday through Thursday, are people that have money to tip you because they're going out. They're not saving for the weekend, you know. They're like, all right, yeah, let's get the fuck out of here and let's go eat. And you're like, cool, yeah. And they were all nice, but I mean, I feel like as servers we could talk for years.
Oh yeah,
I have
so many more stories that I could definitely get to.
I know. Well, you know what? We'll have you on the podcast again. Thank you so much for being on. Do you have anything to plug? Your Instagram, anything like that?
Yeah, it's CJ_Price_. That's all I have as an Instagram right now. I'm not booked on any shows. If anybody wants to book me on some stand-up shows, that'd be great.
He is funny. I can vouch. I've seen him at open mics, and he does not suck. You are actually one of the comics where I'm like, actually, most of the people that Wednesday one are decent, but
it's a good mic. Yeah, for
it
sure.
is. Yeah. It is.
Oh, What's Good Wednesdays? That's a good mic to hit up. Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you for being on the podcast,
Thanks for having me.
Have fun at dinner. Just be nice to your server.
Oh, I'll try.